Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Bulletproof Mindset, Scotland's #1 health, fitness and entertainment podcast. So on today's episode, we welcome Shona McBean Kyle, who is quickly becoming Miss Scotland Hyrox, I guess, if that's a thing. Now, we dive into Shona's story, where she started, how she found fitness, and how she's got to where she is just now. Now, Shona is a high-performing athlete. I would definitely put her in that category. She's so driven and committed and confident in who she is and her ability to achieve such high performance, and also helping others to do so as well. Now, there's no word of a lie, you're going to enjoy today's episode. Now, really quick, if you're new around here, we release episodes every Monday and Thursday at 6 a.m. with the occasional guest episode on a Saturday. And if you did enjoy any of this chat today and want to see more of this, then the best way you can support us is by leaving a little 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or head over to YouTube. Do both, leave a little subscribe and like the video. All of this is completely free to do so, but enough of that, let's get into today's chat. So I guess where we'll take it back to then, you always been a PT? That
Yeah, so
day one?
I came out of school, I wanted to actually join the police.
Alright.
And then I was too young, so I was like 17 and a half when I ended 6th year. So then I was good at PE, so my PE teacher was like, I'll just go to college and do this for a couple of years till you're old enough to join the police. So I was like, right. And that was like my HND for PT, but I didn't even know that was for that. I just thought I was going on this sports course, right? So I thought it was a pure laugh. I was like, cool, laugh for 2 years, then I'll join the police. So finished HNC, and then one of the guys in my class was like, oh, cool, next one you'll get your PT. I was like, what? Class? Cool.
I think you're going to be a PE teacher, maybe?
I don't know what it was for.
Just going for it.
I just thought
just did it?
No, I just thought it was a pure laugh. I don't know why I was there. I thought I was just learning about the gym. I was like, class. So then did the HND, got qualified, and then pure gym where I'm working now.
Right.
At Silverburn was just opening. So one of my friends applied to work there. So then she was called out looking for people now, and I was like, cool, applied there, got the job. And I was kind of working at Airspace at the same time, you know, trampoline park.
Is that an EK?
It was, yeah, it got shut down.
Yeah.
It's class though. So I was working kind of there and then PTing. Yeah, PT's been like my main kind of
Were you into, career. So you're right into your sprinting just now? Has that always been a thing?
Well, so I did athletics since I was like 11, but it was more endurance stuff. So cross country, 1500 metres, 800 metres, and then I became really anemic. So like that's when your
low iron
red blood cells, yeah, it's like low iron, so you can't create enough oxygen or something like that. So then I literally couldn't even run a lap of the track, which was so devastating because I was so used to running like this long distance, and it happened because I'd done a 1500 metres and I got like 800 metres in, and my coach was at the side and he was like, what are you doing? He's like, pick up the pace. And I was like, I can't breathe.
Nothing's going on. Yeah.
And then I literally had to like walk 100 metres off like before the last 100 metres, and he was pure screaming at me. He was like, fucking move. And I was like, oh my God. I finished it, like basically passed out at the end. And then I was getting tested for like loads of different things, and they thought I had asthma for like 2 years. And I was like, definitely don't have asthma, mate.
Oh, it was a 2-year process before you got the
2 years of
diagnosis?
inhalers. And I was like, that to the doctor, I don't have asthma. They're like, you do, you're not using them properly. I was like, I am using them properly. I was like, I know my body, like, this isn't helping me. Eventually they were like, oh, check your blood. Oh, your iron's really low. I was like, I know. So I took a couple of years out of athletics. Then we went into lockdown. So I didn't really, nobody was going out really, so I wasn't really doing anything. And then I wanted to get back into it because it was like, that's like my way of shutting off from everything, like being on the track. It sounds so weird, but it actually is. So I was like, I need to get back in something, but I knew that I maybe wasn't capable of doing the longer stuff. Yeah. And I always was really powerful. So I messaged the sprints coach and I was like, can I come and do some sprints with you, maybe one-on-one to start off with? He was like, oh, basically I've been waiting for you to message me. He's like, I knew you'd be good on the sprint squad. And I'm like, cool. So I started training with him one-to-one during lockdown. And then
I don't know who wasn't into fitness and wasn't doing something during lockdown.
I know.
You could that was bizarre that we all accepted that.
I know. Mad. Why did we ever? I'm not going out. I was like, I'm going out. I had like folk I had groups like 20 people in the park and all that doing boot camps.
I saw that. Like I went back in your Instagram and that. So you launched. Did you do boot camps at that during this time? Was this just
So obviously I'd only been qualified for like a year maybe before we went into lockdown, or a year, 2 years, and then that got announced and I was like, ha. I was like, because I just went fully self-employed, had like finally said goodbye to Airspace.
And the government
went bye-bye, and I was like, ha, class, what am I going to do?
Thank you.
And actually I felt I really like that was quite tough for me because I've got quite a big ego, and I had to not sign on to the brew, but what's it called? I had to get like
Universal credit.
and I was like, oh my God, I never thought this would be me. Never thought I would be living this life.
I remember the time I done that, I felt the same. You're like, what is actually happening in my life?
And I was like, how am I going to live off £120 a month? And that's what they were giving me. I was like, no. And obviously I didn't do online coaching at the time, so all my clients, they were just like, right, bye. And I was like, class. And just as well living with my mum and dad, because I was like, imagine I had my own house. I was like, so how I started bootcamp was I had like a functional group training thing in the gym.
Yeah.
And the first couple of days I was like just learning how to plait my hair and all that. I was like, oh, this is class, couple of days off. And then I was like, right, I'm like quite like work oriented, like love doing work, like pure love work. So I'm like, right, I need to find something to make money. So I was like, what can I do? And I thought of that class in the gym. I was like, I was pure mobbed every week, and I was like, right, just got all their emails and just emailed every single one of them. I'm like, I'm starting a boot camp outside this time, this day. Can you make it? And they're all like, thank God, yeah. And then I just added them all into this group chat, and there was like 30 of them in the group chat.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, let's go. And I just took them out to Bella House and Park, and at the start I didn't have any equipment or anything, so I just kind of did like
I seen you in the benches and all that.
athletic session kind of, basically. We were on the benches, we were on the grass, like the hills at Bella House and stuff like that, and they all pure loved it, and I was like, yeah, this is quite good. And I still run fit camp now, like today, like
still goes, does
it's
it?
not as big as like what it was then, but it depends, like in the summer it gets a bit busier, but there's kind of like 12 to 15 people that come every week now. But back then it was mob. It was so good because everyone pure loved it, and everyone was like actually getting out.
The motivation was so high.
And then I started buying equipment and stuff, which now lives in my car. My
Wee
car
mobile
suspension's like down.
You get yourself a van.
My dad says this to me. I'm like, I'm not driving out in a van. Are you joking?
I can imagine. You're like,
No, I'm actually not driving out in a van.
so when did you pick up the sprinting then? Have you competed in that part of the world?
So I competed in up to national level. The last one I competed in, we did national relays at the Emirates, and me and another girl dropped the baton.
Oh,
I was so bad. We were in like silver place, maybe gold or silver, can't remember. And I was in the last changeover, and like she didn't have it in my hand properly, and she let it go, but it touched my hand. Yeah. So when I went to run, I didn't have it because I touched it last. I had to go back and get it, and then it put us into like 4th place. I was like, oh, you're joking. But yeah, so sprinting, competed in that, 200 meters, 100 meters relay. And then when I started doing Hyrox like 2.5 years ago, I kind of had to put a backseat on the sprinting, just because it is actually good for it, like for training for Hyrox. It's good to have the sprint training, but I had to train quite intense for sprint training to sprint at that certain level, if that made sense.
Like, so you don't see any top level athletes doing multiple sports for
so that was it. So I was like, I had to pick one, and because of my height and stuff, like I was good at sprinting, but I wasn't the best, and I knew that I could be better in Hyrox, so I chose that.
Chance,
and I still do the sprinting, like I'm still on the track and do intervals and stuff like once, twice a week. And that's so funny you've asked that, because the sprints coach actually messaged me like 2 days ago being like, we need somebody to run the 400 meters. Do you want to do it next week at Crown Point? I'm like, yes, I do. And I'm so excited because I'm like that gives me such a buzz, like getting back on the track and like just hearing the gun, and I'm like, yes, let's go.
So you've been doing it since 10, 11? More or less?
11, yeah.
So it holds like a special place in your heart.
Yeah, it's because when I started high school, you know how to do cross country at high school? So I was really good at that, and he was like you are like way in front of everybody at this. He's like, you should go to an athletics club, and I was like, oh yeah, maybe, because I did Highland dancing, so I was a pure dancer. I didn't think about like anything like that. And my dad took me along to Kilmarnock Harriers, and I done really well, so I started from there. Yeah.
Where did you grow up?
So I was born in Greenock, and then my family's from Possil,
right? So
Glasgow, and then I got moved to Lugton, where I am now. So that's in Ayrshire, quite far from here.
Yeah, that's a trek, isn't it?
Yeah.
You told me where it was, and I was like, I've never heard.
It's
that
near Sturton. See if I say Sturton, everyone's like, yeah, or like
I've
Barhead.
Heard of the name, but I still don't know what it is.
It's near Barhead.
I've heard of the name. I still don't know.
You probably heard of Barhead, no Barhead.
I've heard of Barhead Travel. That's about it.
So it's kind of like between Glasgow, Kilmarnock, right in the middle.
Right.
It's crazy in high school, isn't it, when you're doing a sport and you're far better than everybody else, and then you go to one of these national events where there's multiple other schools and you're competing against the top of the top.
You're like, oh my god, that was good.
So you're like the biggest in your class and all that. And you walk in, you're like, whoa.
Some days schools, you're like, what?
How's this happening?
That's good, Bucks. That's what brought the pure competitive edge to me, I think, because at school I knew that I was one of the best, and I was just always like in front with sports and stuff like that. So when we went to an event with other schools and I got a bit of competition, I was like,
this is good.
oh yeah, bloody bitch. I was like, I need to beat you.
I need to get better.
Yes, and that's when I got pure competitive. I was like, why are these people beating me? And that's what gave me like the drive.
So you always had the drive then? Does that come from your mum and dad at all, or what's that relationship like?
I think this is quite deep, but I went into foster care when I was younger. Right. That's why I moved from Postle to Lugton. So I think the drive comes from me not ever wanting to be in that sort of lifestyle that I came from originally. So that's why I'm pure like driven with work and quite competitive and want to be the best, because I don't want to go back into what that life was, if that makes sense.
What was your upbringing like? It's weird you say foster care. So we just had a guy on Geo and he told us his experience. He came from a foster household. What was your experience like? Mine
was actually really good compared to what most people get. So I was really lucky. Like, I'm so grateful for that, because I went from my mum and dad to my gran, and then moved to a house in Easterhouse for a year, which was quite rough. And then they moved me out there to Lugton, and that's like, they treat me like their own, and they adopted me when I was 16. And I went on like holidays and stuff for them, and they just literally treated me like I was theirs, which was so good, because quite a lot of kids go into care and they go to like care homes where there's like 10, 15 kids in there, and they just like run riot, and they just like don't get the kind of same upbringing.
Any connection either.
Yeah, like my mum and dad are my mum and dad now. Like, I would never think of them as anybody else, and they like put me into sport when I was younger. Like, they started me in dancing, and they always like gave me they always gave me like opportunities. So I'm so grateful for that, because if I didn't have that, like, I would have been a totally different person.
Is your biological mum and dad, they on the scene at all now, or they?
Nah, I cut them off, because just my mum tries to still contact me, but I cut her off, because I'm like, you're not bringing anything to my life anymore. And I'm at a point now where I'm like, I want to do well for myself, so anything that's not helping me get there, I'm just like, no.
Did you find it hard?
Yeah, no. I found it hard because you're always going to have that kind of, what's the word, like bond with them. But I don't really know who she is. Like, if I'm being honest with you, I left when I was like 2, so I don't really know who she is. So I just more feel guilty about it than anything, because I kind of want to help her, if anything, be better. But nah, as soon as I got to the point, I think it was like 2 years ago, I was just like, no. And as soon as I shut off with something, I'm like, I'm done. So as soon as I got to that point, and now I don't have really any emotion towards it. I don't think.
It's probably the strength of your mindset, though. Like,
definitely.
All these micro adversities throughout high school, whether it's going from track to nationals and all these hiccups that we're talking about before the podcast.
It's definitely helped. It's definitely helped my mindset be stronger in things where I'm like, oh, I can't. See, if I'm like in Hyrox, for example, and I'm like in the pain cave, and I'm like, oh, this is the worst thing that's happened to me. I'm like, it's not. Like, shut up, Shona, fucking move.
It might feel like that at the time, though.
Yeah, I'm like,
I'm fucked.
I'm like, shut up, move.
Nah, good. We were talking about that yesterday. Like, the top level UFC fighters always come from like really dark places. And I think I was at a powerlifting meet on Sunday, and the guy that was there to see, I was saying to him, I was like, can you go to a dark place? And he goes, no, really, man, my life's pretty good. I'm struggling with this. But you see some guys, like, they're going to like the deepest, darkest parts of their mind to get the lift out. Do you use that as fuel for yourself?
All the time. Yeah. Because I'm constantly always thinking of what my life could have been like. So I'm just like, nah. The same with work. Like, see if I like I'd lose a client or whatever for whatever reason, I'm like, oh my God, like things are going back the way. So it then pure motivates me. I'm like, right, I need to do something to get better. So I'm constantly always thinking of something else to do. And even when I'm doing well, I'm always like, right, what else can I do to be even better than that? So it's really helped me, actually. I don't even know what I'd have been like if that didn't happen to me.
Aye.
Interesting. Sorry, off you
go. No, so obviously, do you ever get burnt out? Because obviously that's quite a hectic lifestyle. That's like, I've lost a client, I need to be better.
Yeah.
Like, I think we are quite similar, and like we've had no similar upbringings to that, but like, we don't really speak to some of our parents either. And it's a good thing and a bad thing.
Yeah.
Because you lose a client, you go, I need to be better. But then it's like, you risk burnout, because instead of giving yourself some time of just going, oh no, it's fine, you're like, I need to be better instantaneously. Yeah,
so I've like, my mum and dad say this to me all the time, because I'm constantly on the go doing things. Like, I come in purely, I'm out like 5:30 in the morning every morning. They're like, you need to calm down. I'm like, no, I need to be on the go. And like, see, when I do actually, like, people are like, what do you do outside of the gym? Like, what's your hobbies? And I'm like,
this is it.
This is my life. Like, and I love it. And I like, people are like, but what do you do to like chill out? And I'm like, go to the track.
Aye.
Like that is
hard to
what
explain to some people, isn't
it's
it?
so hard to explain to some people, and some people look at you like, shut up, like why? And I'm like, no, this is literally, or even just sitting on my phone, like scrolling through TikTok or scrolling through social media, and people are like, that's pure toxic. I'm like, it's not. Like I like enjoy it. That's what brings me like
Peace.
yeah. But yeah, I think I've got a touch of ADHD as well, so I'm just pure constantly like on the go, like need to do this, need to do that, need to do
I'll
this.
ramp up through this podcast with him. He's not got to touch it. He's got the full
get
pot.
full.
I can tell. You can tell instantaneously. It's the bounciness.
I just hate sitting about. I just hate it.
Well, you'll love a podcast then. Eh?
I've got pure high energy for everything. Let's go.
We should,
After this podcast, you'll be like, right, I'm starting mine. Easy.
Tomorrow.
Aye.
Can I at the studio then?
I know.
You can come back.
I will.
Check back through. Back to like your relationship with, well, your mum and dad now.
Yeah.
Like, what's that like? So what are they like as people? Were they competitive in any way or into sports?
So my dad did jiu-jitsu, I think it was. So he's really competitive in that and football and stuff like that. They're just really, really supportive people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and the relationship that they have together to push like me forward is like really admirable. And it's really nice because I look at like the relationships I go into and stuff now, and I'm like, if I don't see that in that relationship, I'm like, no, that's not for me, because they've been married now like 48 years.
Oh, so
and
solid since day one.
Yeah, my dad proposed to her after like 3 weeks of going out, and then they got married like 5 months after, and they've been together for so
imagine that happened in this day and age.
it never happens now, and I'm like, everyone just cheats on you. I'm like, class.
I was going to say, if it happens now, you're like,
Well,
we're not lasting.
weirdo.
Doesn't
We're
happen
not
now.
lasting.
But actually, so that's probably one of my like worst traits, is always trying to see good in somebody when they're treating me not right. Does that make sense? So somebody could, like, for example, my ex was there. He cheated on me a few times, and I just kept trying to see like the good in him. And my friends were like, Shona, what are you doing?
Just blinkered.
What are you doing? And I was like, I know that he can be a good person. He's just not been. And they're like, and they're like, no, he's not. He's just taking you for like, he's pure disrespecting you. I'm like, no, he's definitely going to be a nice person. Like, I know. And they're like, nah. And then when I actually took a step back from it, I was like, what the hell was I doing there? Like, why would I let somebody treat me like that? But that's probably one of my worst traits, is seeing like good in every single person.
Pleasing.
Yeah.
People pleasing to the max. Like, try to see like every day. You think everybody's got that good in them.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you know what I mean?
So how long you been single for now then? What's that world like?
A month.
Oh, is it? So this is fresh,
But
right?
it's great.
Oh, you've got a long time, fucking hell.
We speak a lot in the podcast about his like dating antics and all that sort of stuff. And
I'm on a bar. I'm barred.
A band.
how old are you?
25.
Right, so I met my wife when I was 18. We've been together for 11 years and a bit.
It's chalk and cheese.
Cute.
So it's pure chalk and cheese in the podcast, but man, dating in your 20s must be one of the hardest things to do in this day and age.
I've never been on any dating apps. I won't ever go on any dating apps. I just hate that, like, I don't know, the persona of it. Is that the right word? I just
The feeling of having it.
I just hate the forced factor of it.
Oh, you hear that, James?
I go on it for 2 weeks and go, I need to delete this and delete it off.
See, like, everyone's always just jumping on it, and they're like, do you know what gives me fear as well? Like, I know from like my friends and stuff, you know, like, guys on there are talking to multiple girls, and I'm like, already straight off the bat, like, they're not just there for you. So I'm just a bit like, no, I'd rather just meet somebody naturally and happen that way.
And know that they're still speaking to somebody else as well.
Yeah, no, but they're less likely to be talking to like 15 girls. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I get it.
like most people are on dating apps now, but I don't know. I'd just rather just meet somebody and like say hi, bye, and then be like, oh, who was that? Like, do you know what I mean? And then like come back to me. Like, I don't know. I just like, I think it's because of the way my mum and dad are as well. Like, they would always say to me like, don't force anything. Like, somebody will, like, if they want you, you'll know about it. So I think
if he doesn't propose in the first week, it's not for
it's
you.
not for you.
If
he's not down on his knees, get it, fuck it.
So dating apps is a red flag for you.
That's a red flag.
What else was other red flags?
Not going to the gym.
Nah, that's
the biggest
one of my friends had this, but she's like,
Hyrox.
yeah, no. She was like, would you actually not go out with somebody that didn't go to the gym? I'm like, no, because straight off the bat, they don't look after themselves. So why?
What do you have to talk about as well?
Exactly. What am I going to talk to you about? Because I'm here buying 712s, and what are you doing? Sitting drinking your coffee? No, they need to go to the gym. What other red flags do I have?
Kidding on, you've only got 2?
I don't even know. Like, somebody asked me this, I'm like, what are my red flags? My biggest ick, that's what I'm going to tell you about.
Red flags, same thing, innit?
Is vests and hairy armpits.
Vests. What kind of vest though? Like the stringer vest or like
in the gym or
just a vest with hairy armpits.
Right.
See if I see
Coming
somebody. Oh no.
That was you back in the day, wasn't it?
It's me today.
Do you wear?
I don't wear vests.
So maybe I
don't
need
wear a vest.
maybe I need to step away from my usual. My usual type is probably like a tall, dark hair, tanned, white tee. Fuck boy, right in front of me. I'm like,
That's
your
why
three
I'm-
red
that's why
flags
I'm
come
bald.
into my life.
That's why I'm bad. My it was just doesn't work.
I'd imagine one has to be up there with the competitiveness then.
Yeah,
Would you
somebody
like-
who's driven, like, if somebody's not, like, see if somebody's like, oh, I'm taking the day off work because I can't be arsed, I'm like, no. I'm like, get up, get to work, let's go.
Yeah, you need that partner in life. So pivoting a wee bit then, you found Hyrox. How far in was just 2 years ago? You said
What year is this? 2024?
24. Yeah.
2022, October was my first one. Did a relay.
Right.
So basically, I think I was PTing out Commando at the time, was I? I was training in Commando.
Did you PT there as well?
Yeah, I moved to Commando for a wee bit, to PT, and
How was that experience? Because we see a lot of people go through Commando and all that sort of stuff. How was it? Is this one of the?
It was okay. It wasn't for me.
Right.
It wasn't the environment for me. Coaches and stuff were nice, but they weren't the people that I wanted to be around. If that makes sense. There was quite a lot of chat about clients and PTs that I just didn't agree with. Like, I didn't think it should have been spoke about. So I didn't want to be in that environment. I was like, no. Plus, when I was PTing, sometimes it was really, really, really quiet, and I like thrive off of a buzz. And there wasn't. I didn't feel that there was that buzz. See, when it was busy at night time, there maybe was, but quite a lot. Like during the day, it was quite lonely.
Right.
And I didn't like that when I'm in pure gym. While I'm PTing, people will come in, hi Shona. Like, it's not like I'm taking away from my client to speak to them. I'm just like, hi, like, it's a hi and bye, but I just love that. Yeah, and I love being able to, if I've not got a client, like going around the gym and talking to people, you just didn't get that in Commando. Like if you weren't with a client and there was somebody else in the gym, there was not a PT with them. So I don't know, it just wasn't like what I wanted to be around. It was good in terms of like the gym was really good, and like it was good for bringing clients in for a fitness perspective. But I also had clients who were coming into the gym for the first time, and it wasn't the environment for them. Like they needed a more commercial gym because they needed like the fixed weight machines and stuff like that. So now my client base is more kind of performance based and people coming into Hyrox and stuff like that. But I can train them at a pure gym. And I do a group coaching thing with Harry. I don't know if you've seen it.
Yeah.
So his gym he's just got a new gym and it's all kitted out for Hyrox stuff anyway. So
Whereabouts is that?
it's just in the Axiom building next to the Box Hub.
Is that where you went after Kaizen?
Yeah.
Right.
So we do on a Sunday, we do like a Hyrox competitor session. So
Because I seen
everyone that's
that
competing in
building and
Hyrox.
I seen it said like fitness space.
Big win, you're like, where's she going?
No, I seen fitness space and I thought that might be where the studio is. With the studio I've got here, I do want to have it hired out, so I'm always curious what other spaces are doing.
Yeah.
I've got actually someone hiring it out this weekend, but I've got another few bits of kit that I need to get for it. So is
This is a really
that
good
just
space.
is it just for his then that he does?
Yeah, he'll like hire out to other PTs if they want it. Like Christian Nayley hired it out one time. Yeah, they
He's here next week.
hired it out for, I think they were just doing like a video shoot or something. But yeah, there's another 2 PTs that work in it, I'm sure, out of it. But I just do the Hyrox class with Harry on Tuesday, Saturday. So we'd already started the hybrid group training on Saturday from Future Fitness. And then the class was just getting busier and busier and busier. And he was like, we need a bigger space, and he wanted to open up his own gym anyway. So he was like, I'm going to get this, we'll do it from there. And it just grew like
good,
quite big from there, which is good.
So you get your fingers in a lot of different pies. So you're working at Pure Gym.
Yeah.
Imagine on like full rent model type of thing.
So full rent, which is extortionate.
What is it in that gym?
640. It's gone up to 670 this in May.
Was JD?
500.
Was Pure Gym Motherwell? 6?
That'll be 600 or something. I don't know why. That's a
It's
tiny gym
extortionate.
as well.
What I'm trying to get them to bring in is because I'm trying to reduce my 1-to-1 hours now because my online's grown so much. So what I'm trying to get them to bring in is like a reduced model where you could maybe pay like half that rent and go in PT
Half the time.
3 days a week, because I literally only PT 4 days a week anyway.
Right.
And I'm like, there's 3 days a week here that I'm paying for that. I'm not even going into the gym. Don't need it. So why Dan still need to pay £670 a month for this space?
Yeah.
I understand it as a space and stuff like that, but I'm like, come on.
It's the hardest thing about the corporate models. Like they're always going to be somewhat fixed, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's hard to break that. But we were fortunate in our early days. We worked in a smaller box gym, just a private gym, and he was He changed these models every 2 weeks, bless him. I think I ended up causing him more stress, right enough. But seeing him run that, you can see why gyms are just like, right, here's the model. You need to fit into this model, that's it. But he brought in a part-time model for that as well.
They do have the option of like doing hours for them and taking classes to reduce your rent. I'm like, I don't have time for that. Like I don't have time to be getting paid £7 an hour for a class when I can be getting.
So my question to you is like, what's all the streams of different, like the way you've monetized your business now? So like you're doing different Hyrox classes on like a Tuesday, still doing the boot camp. Like how does that, is that no mental in your life, or is it? It is, but I love it.
I was going to say it is, but I pure love it. So I've got my one-to-one PT, I've got online, I've got my fit camp that I've just took off the Wednesday. So I've got it on Monday, Wednesday, but I just stopped the Wednesday because it is getting a bit hectic. And then I've got hybrid on Tuesday night, Saturday mornings. So actually I've got, I only do a half day on a Friday, so I've got half a Friday off, basically all a Saturday after that class and all a Sunday off.
Oh, bliss.
So it is mental during the week, but I like it that way.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to reduce my one-to-one hours so I can have more time to bring in more online clients, because obviously you can make a bit more money from that.
Yeah.
But I'll never stop one-to-one because I love being there with somebody in person coaching.
Can't beat it. I know there's a big kind of glamour of make this a month as an online coach. Yeah. It's a shit life sitting in four walls,
I can
doing
never
check-ins back to back and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, see when I'm sitting down, so I've got like 4 check-in days, when I'm sitting down for those 2-3 hours at a time, I'm like, oh my God. And you know, the only place I can actually fully concentrate is in Starbucks in Silverburn, up the top, where everybody's walking about, like people are down the shopping centre, and I'm just like,
it's another sign of ADHD.
When I see if I'm in the house and there's nobody about, I'm like, what's on TikTok today?
I hate check-in day. I hate it.
And then do you know what else? See if I'm like on my phone and I'm like, right, when it gets to 3 o'clock, I'll put my phone down and I'll start. And it's 1 minute past, and I'll need to wait till 1:15.
You just round.
Need to wait till 1:15.
That's what I do. And then when it gets
16
minutes past, you're like,
I'll need to wait till 4.
So going back a wee bit, then how did you get involved with the Hyrox really? How did that all come about?
I'm trying to actually think. So I'm sure I was scrolling through Instagram and like the advert for it came up, and I was like
2022,
2022. So I'm sure I was scrolling through Instagram. And the group of people that I was doing it with, we'd already been kind of training a wee bit and looking for something to do. Right. So I'm sure I had, I think we were going to do ethics, is that what it's called?
Yeah, that's the one that's the represent guys.
Yeah, and then I was scrolling through Instagram and I was like, that is the sport for me. Because I was like, it's got a wee bit of endurance in it, it's got the gym stuff. Like, I never was really interested in CrossFit because I'm like, I'm not strong enough for that. It just doesn't suit me, I don't think. And I loved sprinting, I loved the high energy, so I'm like, this is kind of a mix of like, I can go fast here and I can lift weights that aren't pure heavy weights. So I was like, guys, why don't we do this? And they were like, oh, what's that? And then we trained for it and like we went and we done it, and I was like, that is the best thing I've ever done in my whole entire life. Yeah. And then from there I was like, when's the next one?
An addict for then.
When's the next one? And then me and Harry did mixed doubles next. So he actually came from a bodybuilding background.
Yeah, one of my mates competed in his show way back in the day. Mm-hmm. That's where I recognise his name from.
Yeah.
So he's moved away from that completely.
Yeah, so he was just messaging me on Instagram one time, we're just catching up, and he was asking about Hyrox, I think, and I was like, oh, I might do the one in Barcelona by myself, and he's like, oh, that looks good, and I was like, you should try it, and then we were talking, and I was like, why don't we do it together? And he was like, no, he's like, I can't even run a kilometre, and I was like, go run a kilometre, see what time you get. And he came back to me.
And then I'll tell you if you can come in.
He came back to me and he's pure, got 6 minutes, is that good? I'm like, yeah, it's class, let's go. Whereas now you need to be hitting like 4:30, don't you? So I was like, yeah, it's class, let's go. So then we just started training together, and then within like 2 months, I think it was, we were in Barcelona doing Hyrox, and we got 1:11, so that was really good, awesome. Really good time. And then from there, he just pure loved it. And then we done another one, when was the next one? Munich. I think we went to Munich, did another one. And then I did my first solo in Dublin last year. Which I was actually really scared to go into. I think because I was like, I wanted to do really well, so I had that pressure on myself as well. I was like, right, I don't even know if I can do this full thing.
Didn't have anyone to bounce off of and all that sort of stuff.
But I went, done it, locked in the podium, let's go.
What'd you get on that one again?
Third.
Was it third?
Yeah. And it was such a good adrenaline rush, because even going round, I just felt good like the full time. I was like, why do I feel this good? Smooth. Like I feel class, feel good. Then when I finished, Harry and John were there and they were like, you're in third, and I was like, sharp. Then I had to wait for like 20 minutes till
For everyone
everyone
to
had
finish,
finished.
yeah.
So I was like, oh my God, if one person gets 1 second faster than me.
I know,
So
that's
it
a
was
gutting thing, isn't it?
It was a pure 20 minutes to like literally shut myself. I was like, please, please, please. Because I knew that I wanted this. And I'd said for like 2 months before I went, I was like, I'm not leaving there without a podium. They were like, oh, very good, very good. It's your first one, like calm down, stop putting so much. I was like, no, I'm not
I'm
leaving there
gone,
without a
I'm
The
podium.
fine.
fact that it was that you've been told and you're like, right, I didn't
Yeah, I'm
think
like,
it
I'm
was, did you
not-
think it was possible actually?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just knew in myself that I could do it.
Right.
But like, even though I knew I could do it, I was like, can I actually do this? Do you know that feeling of, I know I can do it, but I'm like, what if I don't do it? So then when I came off and I was in third, I was like, oh my God, I've done it, I think. And then I had to wait for 20 minutes and I was like, no. And then eventually when they were like, right, it's done, you're done. I'm like, class. And I felt so good after that. And then that's when I signed up for Glasgow and got humbled big time.
Charms.
I know.
It's just, you need,
Yeah.
as you said, you need to get humbled. We've all
So
been.
that's why I'm excited for this weekend, because I'm like, I'm going to bring it back.
Aye.
Because you know, some people are like, oh, that's a blip. She's just done well, like on one. It needs to be a
A one-hit
consistent
wonder.
thing to be like, oh, she's actually good at that.
Aye, aye.
And I know I'm good at it. That was just, I just had
Just
a
a bad day.
shocking
So that
race.
fire
just a bad
behind you
day.
now will be high.
Yeah, so, and then Berlin's quite cool because they've set it out in like a World War II abandoned airport.
All right.
So
cool.
like all of it's outside.
Right.
So I'm like, this is something
Oh,
different
interesting.
again. So like,
Has it always been outside?
no, it's always inside.
Interesting.
But the events are outside, but they're under like a cover, and then you're
Yeah.
running like outside. So
Right.
hopefully it's not raining. But I'm like, this is a wee bit something different. So it's giving me another wee buzz as well, which is good.
Yeah, you get to experience the different parts.
Mhm.
So is this you committed to Hyrox for the next wee while then? Like
Yeah.
going for it?
I love it. I love it, and you know what? The way I know I can do well on this. So like, I want to just make sure that I get
Do
to
well.
the top.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've got my first pro one in Dublin in October. So now I'll see how I get on with like the heavier weights, because that's always been my thing. Like, I'm quite petite and quite small, so some of these girls are like can lift a lot of weight. So that's why I think CrossFit was never for me, because I'm like, I'm not big enough for that. Just a wee girl.
What weight are you now?
52 kilo.
52. Because I had a client, she was 60 when she done the women's pro
Yeah.
there.
So
And,
these girls, still the girls in the pro are like big girls, like they're
Aye, aye.
strong, and I know I'm strong, but I look at them and I'm like,
Massive.
I was
massive.
watching the lassies at the front and I was like, my man,
they're defo steroided up, aren't they?
Do you think so? So I was going to
I
ask
don't-
you
Yeah.
about this.
I
Yeah,
don't-
defo.
Are they?
Some of them 100%.
I don't know about the ones in Glasgow. They didn't look like it to me. But I seen some pictures of some people and I'm like, aye. Aye, you're no that.
So you're similar weight to my wife, and that was something everyone was saying to us for the mixed doubles. It's like, oh, she'll not push your sled, like, because of the weight, 3 times
Yeah.
body weight and all that sort of stuff. So we didn't know going into it, because I've got the sled there. Sled's easy there.
Yeah.
The sled at JD in Coatbridge, fuck knows what they've done with the grass there,
Ah,
because
it's
that's one of the
fucked.
hardest.
Is
I-
it?
It's fucked,
I
aye.
can
Maybe that's
do-
good to train on then.
Well, that's what we ended up doing our training on. But Jill couldn't move the 150 on
Yeah.
the sled at JD. So on the day, it was like, right, give it a go, see what happens.
Yeah.
And I'm bust.
You're like,
I'm not even
"Please."
kidding. I would be lying saying, right. In my head, I'm like, right, I'm ready. I'm behind her. I was like, I can take over when you're ready. And she's just in the zone pushing. I was like, thank fuck. I was like, I can breathe. I can get into this. But with the Hyrox came out with their anti-doping thing and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
What's your take on all this then?
Good, because I think that it should be fair for everybody.
Mhm.
But at the same time, like, look at the Olympics. Like, how many folk are still taking stuff in the Olympics and they're getting past it? So I'm just like,
The enhanced
Plus-
Olympics will be quite interesting next year.
they're
when
bringing
they
that
do it.
out. Yeah.
So it's next year. So
Yeah, so, but still, I'm like, there's still people that will be in the natural Olympics are still taking stuff, so you're
Yeah.
never really going to know, like, but I guess it's just on you, isn't it? Like, if you know that you've not cheated, then good for you.
See, at Hyrox, how are they going to get round about that? Like when
I think they're just
when
going to
they
test the elites.
Right.
So, like, see if you're in the open category, you're not going to get tested.
Aye.
there's only 15 in that elite.
Elites, yeah. And even at that, like, they can't test everybody. So, see if they were to test you, they'd only test you if you're to podium,
And
potentially.
They're only testing you for certain substances as well.
Yeah, but you do need to watch because some medication has got, like, is on the banned list.
Yeah.
So I think there's medication for ADHD and there's medication for
I guess ADHD medications like stimulants.
something else, and it's got one of the banned substances in it.
Mhm.
So say you were to take that and do really well and you got tested, that could be like
Done.
sailor, done.
It's a tricky one, isn't it? Because I think it's too hard to police.
I think
it's
it's
too
too
hard to
hard,
police.
yeah. There's so many folk now doing Hyrox that you've seen how much has blown up in the past year.
Crazy.
Like, you can barely hardly get into an event now, like,
Mhm.
so
How for someone who's maybe not. Like OG guys would have been 2018, wasn't it?
Yeah,
2019. I guess you kind of fall into that category.
Yeah,
how do you? how do you feel with it getting more popular, but then not being able to get a ticket or a spot for it?
Good that it's getting more popular, but if there's an event that you want to go to, you don't get a ticket and you're raging because somebody else is like, because I'm there to compete. And obviously Hyrox is a sport that people are there to compete, people are there for fun, people are there just like for a laugh, aren't they? So when I know I'm there to compete and I know I'm there for a specific reason, it can get annoying if like you could potentially not get a ticket. Like for Dublin, I was like 2,000 in the queue waiting, and I was like,
I saw that in your story, yeah.
Shit.
I was like, and then I must have just got one of the last tickets for Pro because one of my clients went on to get a ticket. She was literally like 100 spaces behind me in the queue, and she said there's none left. And I'm like, oh my God.
It's insane.
Fuck.
You just need to know when they're coming out. You just need to be quick.
So with Hyrox getting more and more popular, the timings of what podium was is getting faster and faster. How are you coping with that and the drive for that? Is that?
It's good because you're always going to get better, aren't you? You shouldn't really go back the way. So it's always pushing everyone to get better. But then that's when I think that more people will start to take performance enhancers and stuff like that, because
squeeze the line.
The more competitive the sport becomes and people are like seeing people winning and doing well and what they're winning, they're like, right, how can I win?
Mm-hmm.
I've never touched steroids, but see, sometimes when people are like talking about it, I'm like, how fast would that be if I took that? Do you know what I mean? Like some people are like, see, if you took that, you would be rapid, you'd look class, and I'm just, in your head, you're like, oh my God.
So like, recovery rate between stations as well. And
it helps your recovery, like everything.
Taking
so I'm like,
a bigger VO2 max. And
so the only negative of this is you're cheating. So I'm like,
it's quite a big negative, but in it.
That's the major negative, and that's why I would never do it, because I wouldn't see myself as that kind of person.
Because if you win and you're cheating, you've not
really won.
See that feeling you're getting? You're not getting it.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm like, why would I take that? Because I'm not getting that hit that I want to get out of that.
Aye.
Yeah.
Where do you draw the line? So I jokingly said to him that
you talk shit sometimes.
I think you take caffeine. Never mind.
Do you not take caffeine either?
It's funny you say that.
I've just quit again because I was like, this isn't.
It's not a drug, right? But I said like really. It's a fair point, because what's deemed as natural now, because you take supplements, is that natural? He wears glasses, is that natural?
This is so weird.
Fuck off. Can't help I'm blind.
Same, I'm blind as well.
You can't help that you're 5'10", 5'11". You can't help that your arms aren't as long enough for a powerlifting meet. You get what I mean though? Where do you draw the line?
This is so weird actually say this, because, and Harry slags me for this all the time, I never used to touch protein powder, nothing, because I was like, I want to be natural as possible. Right?
No creatine, no protein powder.
Nothing. And the more I learned about it, obviously, I was like, it just helps, like with your
it's a
supplement and what. But then, see, to be fair, I still don't really have protein powder, because I get it through my food. Like, and I make sure I get it through my food.
Yes,
but anyway, if I need an extra bit, I'll have a protein bar. I don't really touch the powder and stuff like that. But I used to pure stay away from that, because I was like, no, I want to make sure that I do this as natural as I can, so that I know in myself that I've done this. Like, I've done it and nothing's helped me get there.
Yeah.
For Hyrox then, have you got any bugbears or frustrations with how the event ran just now?
The only one was Dublin, was quite frustrating because the kilometres were 1.2k instead of 1. So I had obviously brought my training right to the point where I had everything timed. So I had wrote out everything, like what times I was going for each event, like what time I was running at. It was all like split into wee bits, and that's just purely from my sport background. Like, I knew what I needed to break it into to get the time that I wanted to get. And when the first one was about 0.8 kilometres, so I ran out in a 3:08, and I was like, fucking hell. I was like, let's go.
Smoked.
Let's go. And I was like, surely not. I've never run that in my life. Felt good on the ski because of it. I was like, I'm class. Here we go.
You get that
and
done.
Then the next one was 5:30, and I was like, what's going on? And I didn't feel any slower, and I was like, but the first time we went round was 2 3/4 laps. Then the next one, everyone after that was 3 3/4 laps.
Right.
So I knew it was a bit longer, but I was like, surely if that's a kilometre, I'm not running a kilometre in 5.5 minutes, because I've been running it at 4 minutes. So I'm like, why is that happening to me?
Just messing with you.
So I didn't let it get to me. I was like, oh, maybe it's just a bit longer. But that's the only thing that annoyed me. And Dublin was so overly packed that there was guys coming into the wall balls and there wasn't stations and stuff like that. There was no stations and they're running in. And I was like, see if that happened to me, I would have genuinely like smacked the bitch. I would have been throwing uppercuts, because just that mindset you're in of, I'm here to do well, and somebody's just stopped me. I'd be like, no. But they were getting stopwatches out and all that to start timing folk because
they stopped the time.
Because they had to, And I think that's the only thing. Like, see, because it's getting busier, they need to be more organised with
stations.
Like how it's laid out and the people that are coming in.
More stations
timing the what's it called?
Waves,
so that people don't catch up with anybody.
You said something earlier, which I think is they need to start doing. Like, they should be adding another question into the tickets that they're selling of, are you doing this to compete for a time, or are you doing this for fun? And just being honest with that. Yeah. I guess me and Jill would have felt into the fun category. We wanted to do well in terms of times, but I could understand why somebody's on there to like, well, I'm going for this top 10 space or whatever it is that they're trying to do. Maybe. And they've even got so you know how when you sign up for your ticket and it says estimated finish time? Yeah, that's your wave, isn't it? So for Dublin, I was like, I don't know what time I'm gonna get. I just put like 1:16 to 1:20, I think it was. And that's when I was out at the front of the heat, if you want to call it that. I was like, I felt good because I was like, I'm out in the front, and again, it gave me a push. So see, when I got to Glasgow, I was going for a 1:07. And I was like, I'm actually going to put my start time as a 1:16 still because I want to be at the front. And I know in my mindset that if I'm at the front, it'll help me. But then, see, the more you think about it, how many people are doing that? So then that's why people are maybe catching up with people because they're a bit faster and they're putting themselves into a slower category. I was thinking about this when we put our time in. I was like, bastard, I should have put 1:45.
What did you put yours at?
We put ours at 1:30, and then we were at the front because we finished with 1:14.
Nice.
1:15 or something like that. We messed up because everything's in Spanish as well. That's the shit thing about these events.
When they send the email out, you're like, great.
I had no idea. So we done sled pulls. And also when you push your slide, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. When you do the pulls, it's 1, 2, 3, out. So you're really running across the track. Does that make sense? 4? No, you're pulling it 4 times, but you finish the track at the other side.
Yeah, that messed us up a couple of times.
We ran out, and Jill was like, we've only pulled 3 times. And I'm like, fuck, so we have, because we've only ran 3 times. Ran back in, they're arguing it was in Spanish, and then I'm doing the math, and I'm like, oh, so it is. And then, so we lost like maybe a minute, 2 minutes there.
There's so many times, like there's actually a video of me and Harry, and I'm like doing that because I'm like trying to, because it's confusing in the sled pull because you're coming in and out a different way. Whereas sled push, that you've just done it and you know that you've went in and out the same way, so you're like, oh, I'm going to do that here.
What would be your top tips? Because I saw you do this on your before Glasgow, you done like a wee Q&A and stuff like that. So what have you, after doing a few of them now, what is your top tips for Hyrox? What's something that come to mind?
Run your own race. Yeah. The biggest one. Yeah, don't let anybody else get into your head, because I think it's so easy to, if somebody's running beside you and they're going a wee bit faster, to push yourself on, even though you might not be capable of that, just to keep up with them for a wee bit. And then another thing is, you can't win the race in the first 3 events, but you can lose it. Like if you go in there balls to the wall and you like just kill yourself, you're done. You're toast.
I watched one of the girls in the women's pro in Glasgow, and she was killing it. And then she fucked it in the burpee broad jumps, and then she was out and she was greeting all that. I was like, I actually feel really bad for her. Yeah. Because every day was like, oh, she's smashing it. And I could hear everybody talk about her. And then when she failed, I could hear everybody talk about her, and I was like, oh.
That's what happens, but it gets to your head sometimes. That's a sore one. Another thing is, if you're doing doubles, practice it with your partner. See the amount of people that go into do doubles and they've not even trained with her.
Really? Have you seen that quite a lot?
Yeah.
Can't imagine not doing it.
I'm like, you need to practice these changeovers, and I know that not everyone's there to be competitive, but you still want to do well. Like, surely you want to do well in these things, so practice that, and practice kind of, like, say for example, like the row. If you're going into the row and somebody's saying you were doing it and you were a stronger runner than me, like, you'd obviously come in and start the row. I would take the middle bit. You would finish it so that I've got time to recover before we're going back onto the run. Like, just like wee tactics like that, you'd be smart about it, because it saves so much time. Like, so much time if you know what you're doing with your partner. Yeah,
my biggest learning was the row, because I was running in Vivo barefoots for maybe about 6 weeks before. And I bought a pair of Hawkers, and I've always wore Vans or Vivos. Yeah. So it was the first time wearing a big chunk under my shoe. And one of our last training sessions at JD, I went into the row and I was like, oh man, this is quite hard to, I've not got my mobility in my hips to like do it. Get in there. So on the day, like when we swapped in, we were changing over, and I was taking ages, and I ended up just leaving it and just going for the row. That's nearly fucking myself. So I wrote a question down, just because you are like, your social media's kind of blew up from like is it from Hyrox or
literally? So see, now a lot of my audience is from Dublin, so I'm assuming it's from Hyrox.
Right.
Basically, it was so weird because what happened was I put a video up from Hyrox, and then I put another video up from Munich, I think it was, and it kind of popped off a wee bit, and I was like, what's going on there? And then it actually wasn't for another like 3 weeks after that, and then like my phone was just going like, and I was like, what the hell is going on? And I was like, Harry, what? He's like, your Instagram's like pure, like what's going on? And I was like, I don't even know. And then it just kept building, and this went on for like 2 months, like consistently every day I was getting like 100, 200, 300 new followers, and I was like, what's going on? And like my video just kept getting more views and views and views, and I was just like,
what video was it? Was it you talking about the roller, the wall wall?
The first video that went was like one of me, it was like a 9-second video. I think I just reposted it the other day. It was like me like in the warm up area. I'm smiling at the end of it. Right. That's the first one that kind of went off, but then it was the burpee video. Right. It was like one of burpees, and I was like, boing. Don't know if you've seen it. And I was like, this is what I feel. This is what I'll say during burpees or whatever. Yeah. That's the one that kind of like went like just popped off, and then from there, the educational videos seemed to get a lot of traction from them. So like obviously Hyrox kind of took off a good bit as well, so that helped as well. But people were obviously searching for Hyrox.
Oh, it's crazy the wave that you can get for just.
So then when I was talking about it, people were interested in it, and then they were commenting on it, and they were tagging their friends and stuff, and then it just kind of the reach went from there, and it was mad.
Good. Have you ended up getting a few clients through that and all that sort of stuff? Yeah, that's brilliant.
Like that. That's awesome. Like my online like just blew up after that, and I just didn't. I wasn't ready for it.
I was gonna say, was it overwhelming?
Yeah, I'm still overwhelming today. Like I'll always like keep saying to my friends and like my boyfriend there, I was like, I need somebody to manage this for me, because I'm trying to do everything myself, and I've already told you about my lifestyle. It's so busy that like if I was going on my phone right now, like the Instagram DMs are just constant. And see, for a bit it was like just about my trainers, and you know what, it was actually not annoying because I'm really grateful for it, but people would always ask the same questions over, and I'm like, I actually don't have time to answer a question like that.
Well, asking about your trainers?
Yeah.
Like what shoes are you wearing?
Yeah, and I'd post up my story, and I don't mean to be like rude, but I actually don't have the time to answer a question like that, and that sounds so bad, and I hate like saying it like that.
You almost need a frequently asked question bit when you can click on the page.
So then I need to put like highlights on my page, but see, because I wasn't ready for that to happen, like I wasn't prepared for it, so I'm just a bit like, I'm still like in the dark. I'm still like pure like trying to learn how to manage it and stuff, because it's quite mad.
What were you at like following wise before? What was it?
I was at 3,125 or something. Literally was like, that was still big. Like 3,000 is still a lot of followers. And then it just went mad, and now I think it's nearly 60.
Is it? Oh, yeah. No. What's the biggest misconception then with a following count? Has it been pretty mental in terms of getting recognised and know you're in this maybe quote unquote influencer world, or is it not like that?
So yeah, because I am a sponsored athlete with CNP. Right. So I went to the Arnold's, the fitness expo in Birmingham like not that long ago, and a couple people there were like, oh, you're SMK Fitness, can I get a picture with you? And I was just a bit like,
what's happening here?
What is this world? What do we live in? And it's so weird because I would always look at people on Instagram and be like, oh, like that's so cool, like I would love my Instagram to pop off, and see now that it's happened, I'm like, not that I want the, sometimes I want the opposite, but sometimes I'm like, this is really class, like this is class. But sometimes it can become really overwhelming, and I don't think people understand how much pressure it can put on you as well. Like, see, for example, for Glasgow, because there was, see the amount of people that were coming up to me and saying, oh, SMK Fitness, like it was a lot, and to the point where my friends were like, that is annoying. And I'm like, it is, but it's really nice as well because I've never had it before. But I think if it was happening like all the time, I'd be like, whoa, right.
So were they calling you SMK Fitness?
Yeah, so SMK Fitness.
That doesn't feel the same as it as like somebody walking up and calling you, oh, you're Shona.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
It's just because they know me from that. I do have a like normal Instagram, if you want to call it that, where it's just like my personal life. But I had to make that private as well because that was open, but I had to make it private so that I wasn't just bringing loads of people onto that page as well, because I still want an element of my life to be personal.
Yeah. I
don't mind sharing my life. Like I don't mind like having everything. People are always like, oh, you share like everything on Instagram. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. But there's some things that I'm like, I just want to
private. You want a private life.
Yeah.
Good. So a question I had wrote down, because I was actually quite curious, because you are like, that's your forte now is Hyrox. See, if you had to run the organisation, what would you change about it?
What would
if you had to like maybe not change anything, but let's say it was come back to Glasgow and they're like, right, Shona, you've got the reins, you set it up, you can do whatever you want with this. Is there any stations you swap out, anything you'd add to it, anything you feel that's missing?
I'd maybe have a bigger win at the end, because the amount of training and work that people put into the sport for it not to really get recognised except from a patch on your backpack. So that is still cool, but I think that a wee bit more recognition would be good. What else? The events are good. I think the events are like, obviously that's going to change at some point.
I was going to say, do you think it will change, or do
I
you think it'll be like a marathon?
Hyrox.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Back
I
to
think
front.
they'll
Start at wall balls and
I
finish
think
at
they'll
the
do it
ski.
back to front.
I think they need to. We
Because-
always kind of debate this because it'll lose the hype at some point, and things like athletics or whatever it's called,
Athletics.
they have heats where it's like phases that change and all that sort of
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
So
I think it's good because see somebody like me and you, for example, who like high energy and stuff like that. I don't know if you like this, but do you like watching a film that you've already watched because you know what's going to happen?
All the time.
So
I only watch the same TV shows and the same films.
So I pure love that
Same
because
documentary.
because I like know what to expect and I know that I know
You're like
what's happening. So that's why I love Hyrox, because I know it's the same every time and I know what to expect and I know what's going to come.
Aye.
So for that reason, that's why I think people enjoy it, because they know what they're coming for, they know what they're getting,
Aye.
they know what they're training for, and there's nothing thrown in there that they're like, I've not
We
practiced
bit of
that.
comfortability as well.
Yeah. So but I do think the thing with Hyrox is it's a low skill, high level sport. That makes sense. So it's
low
like
barrier to entry. Into
you
it, in a
need
way.
to be fit to be good at it. There's no denying you got to be fit to be good, but the skill level you need is not. You don't need to be that skillful, like 16 kilo kettlebells, 24 kilo kettlebells that you're running with them. Like,
You're
it's
just
not
it's
taking much
holding
skill. Yeah. So if they were to add anything in, it would need to be of a low skill level, because the whole idea of Hyrox is inclusive of everybody.
Aye.
So even stuff like the assault bike may not even get added in, because it's
Hard.
quite it's not even hard, but it's, I don't know, like it's not as easy as some of the other things that they've put in there. Box jumps, like they couldn't even add them in, I think, because people can't.
Aye, that's
Jump,
quite risky.
Yeah. So you're looking at it and you're like, what could they actually change? So that's why I'm like, they might do a back to front and just switch it around.
Change
It's
the order.
still different, but people still know what's coming, and it's good because people are like, oh, how fast do you think we can do it the other way?
Mm-hmm.
So they're bringing another buzz into it. And if MD thinks about stealing that idea, you heard
You
it
heard
first,
it
MK.
first,
Okay.
Better patent it for when you leave.
Aye, we'll clip
Heard it
it.
here first.
Aye.
But yeah, I think it's a cool sport.
I thought you would add maybe sprints instead of the 1Ks and all that sort of stuff.
Nah,
No.
because there's so much more risk for injury there as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
You could make the argument though, the whole event risk for injury.
yeah,
and that,
defo.
The lunges and the broad jumps, that's where
I love the burpees.
people are doing the fucking lunges, man. Their knees were going
Maybe
everywhere.
that's what I would change, like the space,
Yeah, it's just,
because sometimes, like, see when you're running around, people, I'm like pure elbowing folk out of the way, and I feel dead bad, but I'm like, I'm here for a win, so out of the way. But there's just not enough space sometimes. And seeing Glasgow, the farmer carries, not that I was going at any speed, but it was quite like thin.
it's narrow.
Yeah.
I think there's only enough for two people in most of them.
Yeah, so I was like, what if, and do you know what actually really annoyed me, and this is quite sad actually that I'm saying this, but there was a girl in crutches in front of me and Harry coming out of one of the events, and we were there to beat our time, so we just had to push past her.
Right.
Like, and I felt really
Oh,
bad.
she's fallen.
I felt so bad.
She's
but
got
I'm
crutches anyway. She doesn't need her legs.
Like, but I shouted it because I knew we were approaching, and I was like, track, like move.
Yeah.
She had two assistants with her, and they didn't even do anything. So we had to kind of just push past like the outside of them, and I felt bad, but I'm like, there should be a different disabled category.
Yeah.
And I think they've maybe brought one in now.
Oh, have they?
I think they've.
Yeah.
I heard
I've seen
something
they've
about
just
it the
done
other
the
day.
kids one in London.
Yeah,
That'll be
that's
quite
cool as well. That was me starting a kids fit camp up.
Right now we can monetize it. Eh?
I actually love coaching kids. I used to coach kids in athletics. That's how I kind of started the whole coaching thing.
Right.
But yeah, they need to make a disabled category for it as well. I think that would do well. But it's stuff like, see if someone does want to do it and they've maybe lost one of their arms, like how they might do wall balls or hold the farmer carries, or like they actually can't do it. So then that all-inclusive sport isn't all-inclusive anymore.
Yeah.
And another thing about it is, obviously, in this day and age with the whole gender thing, like what if like you were to identify as a female, right, and you signed up as a female, but then obviously you're faster than me because naturally guys are.
Oh, you're not allowed to say that.
Oh, I just did, right?
Oh, fuck.
So it's controversial because we're two guys, right? We've done what 180 episodes to a week and all that. So we go into this subject time, but then we're like, we're not really from the female perspective.
Yeah.
What's your take on this whole competing gender sort of thing? Do you think it should be its own category, or do you think are you welcoming people who go from men to women into the female category?
So female to male, yeah. Male to female, no. Because males are sprinting, for example, your hips are different from ours.
Yeah.
So your stride length is created differently. I've read about this. So you already have that advantage. Whereas a female going to a male doesn't have that advantage. So they would have to work even harder to even be
Close.
up there with the guys. But if a guy was like, one of you was transitioning to female and come into a sprint race with me, and you were already like up there, you'd be even further up there because just the way that your body works is more better than ours. So I think personally it shouldn't be allowed. I think that your birth gender, if you're going into a high level sport, should have to be disclosed for if you're going there to win something.
Yeah.
To make it fair.
Has it happened in any of the sports that you've kind of seen? Have you seen it at all?
Nah.
Scotland's getting a wee bit more woke as the days go on, but I'm just wondering if
there's
there'll be
not
a
been
time
any
when
that
it
I've
happens.
been in. I'm sure there was something about somebody in sprints. That's why I had read about the whole hip thing and the stride length and stuff. And that's when I was like, all right, that shouldn't be allowed.
Kind of makes sense, doesn't it? But it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I asked James with the episode yesterday what he would do for a day if he was as a female. Surprised you never said that, competing powerlifting.
I showed my dad that video. You've not seen it, and he was like, "You're treading on thin ice here." And
I was just surprised you never get more hate for it.
I know. It was all women that were messaging me like, that is so funny, and I was like, "You guys have messaged me."
They just try to slide in the DMs.
Probably that's actually.
Because you know your handbag.
I was actually going to ask you, right? Like, you blew up. What does your DMs look like?
Really bad. Do you want me to bring up something now? Let me see if I can find one.
I was actually thinking, like,
do you know what my worst thing has been?
It's already probably bad as it is, never mind when you blow up.
The worst thing that I've ever had, not even from like these DMs, it was an ex-client, right? And this is the funniest. A guy. This was the funniest thing. I don't know if I can find it right now, but he was PTing with me for a bit. Fine. Split up with his missus, right? And that's when his chat started to change, and I was
Red
like,
flag number one.
But then I'm so like, in work I'm very much like, I'm here for business. Like, actually more of my clients are guys and girls, which all the guys in the gym are like, how have you got all these guy clients? I'm like, I'm class.
They're trying to get them.
So anyway, this guy, the tone kind of changes when I was a bit like, this is weird. Then he started messaging me at like 3 a.m. when he was out getting on it and all this, right? And I was just like,
he's thinking about
it was just weird messages like, hey buddy. And I was like, so I just ignored him, and when he came in for his PT session next time, I'd be like, right,
what
you stop messaging me this time. Like, I'm not your friend, I'm your PT. Like, fair enough. Like, I do have clients that are like I'm pals with as well, but this guy, I was very much straight line. Like, you're here, I'm here. Yeah. So I was like, I'm not your friend. I'm here to PT. If you want more than that, like, go find another coach, basically. So then he'd messaged me this time. And he was like, "Can I flick your McBean? So sorry, so sorry.
No way.
I'm watching Mr. Bean. No, so sorry. Can't come back to gym now because fancy it."
You sent that as a text?
I said, yeah.
Oh my God.
Let me try and find it.
What the fuck?
I thought
I've kept it.
Oh my God.
I thought your jab lines were bad. Could you ever imagine yourself bringing yourself and saying that?
No, never.
Can I flick your McBean? Sorry. No, you can't.
Name and shame him.
Let me try and find them. I don't know. I went to show somebody the other day and I couldn't find it.
Goodness me, man.
If he's a smart guy, he would unsend that text. You can delete messages now, can't you?
Aye. Was that on Instagram or
it was on Facebook Messenger?
Right, you can still when you unsend on Facebook, you can still see unsend message.
I blocked him.
So with the type of messages and that you're getting,
some of them are wild though. Can't find that one, but some of them are really like.
Girls have it different.
I'm like, wow.
How do you deal with that?
I just ignore them. Like,
would you ever put them in blast? I feel like some guys.
Yeah, sometimes I put them on my story.
Good.
Do you?
Good.
Yeah, I out them. Yeah.
Yes.
I had this actually police officer that had messaged me from like America, and he was like, he sent me this voice note. And he was like, "All right, sexy ladies, I would do this and this to you," and I'm like, "Excuse me, I beg your pardon." And I put up my story, and folk were like, "No ways, he just said that to you." But some of the messages are really like creepier. Most of the time, it's like, "Can I send you money?" And this, I'm like, "No."
You get one of them yesterday.
Did you?
Aye,
Can
$500 for a text buddy. I'm shite at texting, so
Sugar daddies just come in all the time. I don't need to my life.
that wouldn't be a bad thing.
No, most of the time it's a scam.
No, it's always a scam.
So once I did go through with it. So once it's worked and once it's been a scam. Yeah. So once it wasn't really a sugar daddy. So basically this guy had messaged me. He's like, "Can I send you money for pictures in your leggings?" And I was like, "Absolutely."
Already take them anyway.
Absolutely. So I went onto my Instagram feed, got a picture off my Instagram feed, and sent to him. And I was like, like this. And he was like, "Yeah. Have you got any more?" So then I was like, "Send me the money first." So I sent him my details. He sent me £100, and I sent him one more picture off my Instagram feed. He could have went down and looked at himself.
What the fuck?
And he was like, "Thanks." And then I blocked him after that because I was like, "That's too weird." Like, and then I got pure like, and I was like, "Oh my god, what if I get done for like this criminal activity? Someone needs to send me money." So I was like, blocked him, and then he made this fake account and messaged me, and he was like, "Why did you block me? I was going to send you $4,000 a week for pictures like that." And I was like, "Oh my god, maybe I should unblock him." Then I didn't. I just left it there. But then somebody else kind of messaged me the same thing, and it was through PayPal this time. And then on PayPal, he's like, "Oh, you need to accept the Bitcoin or something, or buy a Bitcoin." And I was like, "No." Right. So now every time I get a message, I'm like, no.
So see on PayPal, like, no, even things like that. See if somebody sends you money, they can take it back.
Yeah.
Reverse it.
Aye, they can reverse it. They can put it in for a refund, and they'll send it back. That's how
it's
they
a watch. I never sell pictures of any of my body, but it's a gift. They can do it. It's when I've sold like stuff.
That was a wee bit weird when you said that.
Never sold pictures of my body.
What
People always ask me that as well. Get on OnlyFans. I'm like, no.
Nah,
I'd rather not be doing that.
No, that's just no.
For a quick, that's a fine line though. You're treading on accepting money though. That could have.
I know.
Like, people are like that with their feet.
But you know, I done it. I was like, somehow that's a pure laugh. Like, see if you send it, and I'm like, fine. So I went through with it, and then after that, I felt a bit weird. I was like, no, I don't want to do that. Yeah, I was like, don't want to do that. I don't need your money.
It's mad how guys are willing to pay for like just a picture.
Plus, I'm such like a independent person. Like, even if I go out for dinner, I'm like, I'll pay. So So see when that guy was like sending me money, I was like, oh my god, I need to send him the money back. I was like, I don't want your money. I just
send me pictures of you in leggings. I'll send you money.
I'll send you the money. I've always been like that. I think it's just because like, I don't know. I've always been like that. Like, somebody's like, "Oh, I want to buy this." I'm like, "Don't buy me that. I'll buy me myself."
What's your whole take on the whole toxic masculinity side of things then? Do you see a lot of that getting downplayed because you are a woman, especially being a PT in the space?
What do you mean?
So it's like guys can be very egotistical and ego-driven and all that sort of stuff. How is it being a girl in the space and as a PT?
I think better now, and I think people have a lot of respect for me because I'm not pure one of the lads, but like I love like most of my pals are guys, and like I like go for a kickabout and stuff like that. So it's better like that, but it is still such a masculine space. Like, but there's so many more strong females that are coming into it. Yeah. It's kind of pushing the guys down, not pushing them down, but like everyone's kind of at the same level now. Whereas when I first started PTing, it was like guys, and if you were a girl, you did feel a bit like off. Like I remember one of the first times I'd ever went to spot somebody in the gym, this guy was lifting 40s for like a dumbbell chest press, and I felt nervous even saying, because I seen he was struggling, and I went over and I was like, I can help you if you want. And I was like 18 years old. I was like, I can help you if you want. He was like, very good. And I was like, let's fucking go then.
Aye.
I was like, let's go.
Get a back up. Fuck you, motherfucker.
And then he was like, right, let's see if you can do it. And I like helped him fine. Obviously, you only need to push like 2% of that to get it up. And he put him down after, and he's like, just looked at me and he was like, cheers. I was like, and see, actually after that day, I was like, I deserve to be in this space.
Aye. That changed our full mindset towards it.
Yeah, and then since then, my confidence and all that just grew. And like, see, when you know that you are actually good at something, I think it helps because you're like, right, I actually do deserve to be here, so I don't care.
I was going to ask you, like, obviously we all get glimmers of imposter syndrome and all that sort of stuff. Have you coped with that, or have you got much of it through your PT career, or even competing as an athlete?
What do you mean by imposter syndrome? I hate these big words.
I don't think it's a bigger word, is it?
Imposter syndrome, like if you're in the space and you're like,
I've heard that word before, but
am I good enough to be here?
You just don't feel like you belong. You feel like, oh, they're better PTs than me, they're better athletes
you're
than me.
An imposter in the space that you're in.
Okay, so yeah. So sometimes, like, see if somebody says something that I know isn't right, but then that's when I feel imposter syndrome, because I'm like,
Are they right?
Are they right? Am I wrong? And then when I go away and look at it and find out that maybe they were right and I was wrong, or I was right and they were wrong, then I'll be like, right, okay, it's fine. Does that make sense? That's the only kind of time that I'm like, I don't deserve to be here, because sports like all I've ever kind of done. So I'm like, I do know what I'm talking about. I do deserve to be here. I train. I walk the walk, essentially. Like,
Aye.
I'm not one of these coaches out here pure telling you to go do your 10,000 steps a day and
I
train
never
5
do
times a week, and I don't do it.
What's your thoughts on that then? Because that can be controversial.
Horrific.
So there's a few obviously PTs in the space that don't walk the walk.
Don't like
do you
that.
think you need to?
Yeah, because you're promoting a healthy lifestyle and living, and I just think that people look up to you and respect you a lot more when you're actually there doing it.
Yeah.
And I can relate to a lot of my clients more because I'm there and I'm competing and I'm
You're
doing
going
it and
through
I'm in the
struggles?
shit. Yeah, see, if I wasn't there, I wouldn't have a clue what they were feeling like.
No.
And I get, like, some people are like, yeah, but your doctor smokes 20 fags a day and all this. And I'm like, that's fine. But probably a shite doctor.
I wouldn't go to your doctor for the advice then, would you? For
Yeah,
health
exactly.
advice?
Exactly. So I'm like, like, people will come to me and ask me things because they know that I've done it, or they, like, people always ask me, like, oh, do you count your calories? And I'm like, no, I don't. Actually, I don't count my calories, and I don't make my clients count count their calories if they don't want to, because there's other ways that we can manage that, and I'm really open and honest about it.
Yeah.
But I do believe that you should, if you're a PT, you should be training, you should be eating healthy, you should be doing the stuff that you're teaching other people to do. Like, why would you not?
Yeah.
That's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy.
Crazy it's even an
It's crazy.
argument.
No.
It should be a given. It should be one of those things.
And do you know what, as well, like, the good PTs are the PTs that do walk the walk. Like, you'll look at some PTs and you'll be like, you are not going to make it in this space. They don't train, don't eat properly, think it's a pure laugh. And a lot of people come into the space because they think it's a pure laugh. They think, this is
Easy
an
money.
easy job. It's definitely not. It can be easy, but if you want to do good at it, it's definitely not easy. Like,
It can be easy if you're staying with your parents and making
Yeah,
like
you're
a grand
not-
a month
yeah.
and just spending it on whatever.
and you're not like learning, or you're just, you came out of college and you're like, I've learned everything.
Aye. You're
Let
like,
me
easy.
just teach what I know
How
right
I
now.
train is how you're going to train, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's what I see quite a lot.
What's been your biggest challenges becoming a PT?
Do you know what? Actually, my biggest challenge being a PT or becoming one.
I guess both.
My biggest challenge being a PT is sticking to what I believe is right, because I've always trained hybrid. Like, I've always put it out there to be, this is the way that people will look good, feel good, train good, and their bodies will move well, and you'll be the healthiest. But then see, coming through like different gyms and meeting different coaches and stuff, obviously bodybuilding's massive. And it's a really good sport, and the people that do it put a lot of work into it, and I really respect that. But you can pure see from the outside that it's quite toxic as well, and it creates a lot of eating disorders and stuff like that. So there was points where I kind of questioned myself, and I was like, maybe that is the right way to train.
Yeah.
Maybe that is better to train that way. But then in the back of my head, even though coaches were saying to me, no, this way's better, I was like, no, I believe that the way that I'm training is
Sticking to
better.
the guns, yeah.
And I just stuck with it. And actually, I think that's the reason that my Instagram as well has blown up, because I have done this and I've trained this way for so long, and now other people are realising that this is
Like,
a
it's
better way
hybrid's
to
blowing
train.
up.
Well, it's a wave. I was going to ask
Yeah.
you, what's your definition of hybrid? Because it's coaches, so
There's so many.
running, lifting weights. What's yours?
Yeah. Mine's is living an active lifestyle while improving strength and being fit. So, see if you are training in the gym 3 times a week and you're doing 1 run a week and it's really sporadic, or 1 run a month, you're not training hybrid. I believe that a hybrid athlete is somebody who's competitively training. So, lifting weights 5-6 times a week, running 2 or 3 times a week with endurance, sprints, like the whole shebang.
Combination, yeah.
Even boxing, like adding some boxing weight training, like that is hybrid, like a mixture of endurance, speed, power, and strength.
Yeah.
Definitely a buzz just now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely a buzzword. I think everyone's jumped on it because they know that it is
Good.
they know that it's good, and they know that it's this craze now. So, and I'm like, you just need to stick with it. Like,
I'm the OG.
I'm the fucking hybrid OG. What are you talking about? But it's nice as well because other coaches will message me and they'll say, like, I've watched your Instagram for ages and like I've took a lot from it, and now I understand that that is actually a really good way to train, and it helps people look good and feel good for a lot longer. Because like I've done photo shoots before and I felt absolutely horrific, and
It's mad you said this, because that was something I take it this is maybe along the lines of why Commando didn't work out.
yeah,
Yeah, so I thought it would be. So coaches coming into space, transformation pictures is like the go-to
I never do
marketing terms.
transformation pictures.
Yeah, and well, we've
I've done one in my full span.
but your transformation picture was a year.
And it was somebody on a bike. That's her on a bike then, that's on a bike
I
now.
don't disagree with transformation pictures, but the reason I don't promote it on my page is because I don't think that,
That's
like,
not your style of training.
It defines.
it's not my style of training, but it doesn't define, like, I do believe if you're competing at a high level sport, you need to look good to perform good. Like, but I don't
Do
believe
you think
that.
you need to look good, or you will look good if you're performing?
Yeah,
good?
that
Do you not
actually,
think it's
you
a bit
will
of
look
both?
good if you perform good. Like, people that are in Hyrox and they're maybe not getting the fastest times, I'm like, right, do you know what? See, if you did do like a fat loss phase or something, you'd perform a lot better because you're going to be able to run faster. So yeah, that does work for that, but you don't need to be pure the leanest you've ever been to. Like, if you're the leanest you've ever been, you won't compete at the highest level that you can be. And I think there's a lot of coaches that are like, just like, oh, you need to be posting transformation pictures every week and all this to get clients, and I'm like, no, you don't. Like,
Yours is very performance focused.
I've literally got maybe 10 progress pictures on my full page, and mine's is more performance focused. And
so is that a bit where you kind of fell into that world and thinking that's what you had to kind of push to get clients?
So I don't really want to name drop anybody, but when I went to Commando, I did like a photo shoot there with like a group of the coaches, and
he's on the podcast soon, so
should you name drop me? It was really good. The community aspect was brilliant, like it really was, and their coaching's like really good. But for me, like, it was just pushing to be the leanest and eat as little as I could. And at the time, I actually said to them, I was like, I'm actively competing and sprinting now. Like, I can't eat that like little calories. And I knew in myself that I was right, but see, because what I thought was a better coach than me was telling me it was wrong, then I was questioning myself, even though that I knew that I was like, what I was thinking in my body was right, because they were like more, more popular coach than me at the time. I was like, well, they must be right. But then I knew myself that this wasn't right for me. So when I did get down to the really low calories, my body just looked horrific because not horrific, but it was just like, I don't want to even look like that. Like, I wasn't even lean. I didn't even feel lean. I just looked pure flat. Like, I didn't have the strong like figure that I wanted to have.
You probably didn't feel strong either.
And then the year after I did it again, I was like, maybe it was just a blip. Like, I'll go back, do it again. And I got to halfway through and I was like, I'm not dropping my calories any lower. I love this for the community aspect of it, but this getting lean is not healthy and it's not for me. Like, and it was just a pure competition, so you could get the leanest. So I was like, that's not
what I want.
No, that's not what I...
It's one of the best things you can do. Like, you can go into something, it's like, right, I'm jumping on this hype or whatever you want to call it, but then experiencing it for yourself, because that gets you,
it was good.
You a better coach.
Yeah, it was good because I got to experience it. And now, do you know what? Actually, one of my clients recently, so she was with a coach before me, and she did a photo shoot, and the aim of the photo shoot was to obviously get as lean as possible, what it always usually is. And she got podium in Glasgow for Hyrox. She came to me, she done more performance training because I introduced her to it. I was like, look, this is a different style of training. I don't know if you're interested in it, because everyone that comes on board with me, I always suggest it to them. And she was like, oh yeah, like quite fancy, like getting my running better and stuff like that. So we started training that, got her booked in for Hyrox. She ended up podium on the Hyrox. She was like, I have never felt as good as this ever.
All rounded.
She's like thriving in her. She's now becoming a PT. She's pure doing well in that. She's like my relationships are better. My relationship with mum and dad's better. Like, I just feel so much better. I can eat more. I've got more freedom with food. And she won a photo shoot like a couple of weeks ago.
Won
it. So on Instagram, she won like a competition.
Right.
And straight away she was messaging me. So she's qualified for the World Championships in Nice in like 6 weeks or something.
Right.
Straight away she messaged me when she won it. She was like, I need to go on a diet. And I was like, we're not doing a diet.
I was
like, you've got a bigger goal than standing in front of a camera.
Aye.
And I'm like, why do you feel like that camera, you need to be as lean as possible? And she's like, oh, it's just the way I've always felt. And I'm like, nah. I was like, we're training the way that you've been training.
And you go
I was like, you've got the World Championships, which is the main goal for you at the moment. Like, and some people were like, is that her goal or is that your goal? And I'm like, it's her goal, because I said to her, I was like, do you want this? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, well, you aren't going to perform. Coach, and the weights for, she's going to do pro weights in the Worlds. And I was like, the weights for that are like heavy. I was like, you need to build up more strength at the moment to be able to push them. So I was like, we literally can't diet you, you're not going to perform well. She's like, okay. So just kind of trusted me in that one. She went and done her photo shoot. And she, off the back of it, she was like, Shona, I have never felt as confident as that in front of a camera in my life. She was like, I looked good, I felt good. I wasn't worrying about like looking in the mirror all the time because I wasn't lean enough. Like, I wasn't comparing myself. Like, she was like, I've like just nailed it. And I'm like, that's going to speak to more people than you just getting lean because you've got a photo shoot. Like, look at all the people now that are messaging her saying, like, well done for getting in front of that camera the way you are, and you look class, and you can see it in her face. Like, she looks pure happy and like confident. And she's like, yeah, just pure change her mindset. And I'm like, told you.
I actually love you telling that story because we say it a lot in the podcast, and I think when you've clients that come to us, I've had a few that have done photo shoots in the past and that, but people might look at our stuff and go, well, you've never done one, so what's the point? I've done bodybuilding that before, so I guess I can speak to my experience through it, but it's my experience. But hearing that from a client is like so powerful because it's weird that you almost need to be feeling strong and healthy will make you look strong and healthy, and that's a hard thing to communicate in this day and age when it's all social media filters and whatever that's going on. So that's amazing to like actually hear somebody's story. And don't get me wrong,
like at the weekend I was at PCA watching the bodybuilding, and see when you see the girls come on, I was like, they look unreal. And Harry was standing next to me and he's like, you've got to remember, but they probably feel like fucking shit.
Absolute shite.
And you don't see the 2 hours in the Stairmaster every single day. You don't see like
no periods and all.
The body dysmorphia. You don't see, and I went through a big stage of body dysmorphia as well. And you're like, you don't see that part of it. You just see them looking good for that one day. Like that's their peak day.
It's the same as a photo shoot. It's your peak ever. And almost in these photo shoots, 6 hours later, you don't look.
And do you know what? Straight away after this photo shoot, they're all eating cookies, like stuff in their
Pizza
face, and I'm like,
is that health?
That is not healthy. And also, you're just about to binge and just ruin everything that you've just put into the last 12 and 16 weeks for, and create a bad thingy with food.
You're building a bad habit. I think it's impressive what people in the bodybuilding community do, but we need to stop looking at that as the healthy sport. It's the opposite of healthy.
Yeah,
and it's picking the lesser.
It's admirable sport.
Yeah,
and it's a beauty pageant.
Glorified one.
It's not healthy.
Yeah, so there's a pivot because anyone getting into the space, or for me and James, it was always we looked at these guys like, man, they look impressive. Let's go. Let's train like bodybuilders. What was it for you? Who did you look up to when you were younger? When you were getting into training?
Jessica Ennis.
Right.
She's always been my yeah. That's like the quote that I go by. So our quote say, what is that again? I forgot it now. I'm on camera. No one can tell you can't win except you, and you don't have to listen.
I like that.
So it was like pure powerful, and I love that because she's always been a so like strong, athletic female and so powerful herself. Like she's influenced so many people. So all the way through, like obviously I'd done athletics before. I just looked up to her as like she could do it all. So she was just so good, and I don't know, she's class.
Is there anyone you looked up to that changed your mind? You changed your mind on, like knowing more about the space and all that now?
In terms of people or coaches or?
So for like an example would be like Simeon Panda was somebody I looked at back in the day, jacked and done his programs and all that, and then till I realised I was like, motherfuckers on steroids, it's no his program that got that. Did you were you affected by this? Because I think what we hear from some of our female clients and female PTs in the space is there is a lot of like shady shit that goes on with like Photoshop and all this sort of stuff. Like they then later realise that fucking hell, she was just editing her pictures or that sort of stuff.
I don't know if I've ever actually. I don't know if I have actually. Nah. There's a couple of coaches that are promoting stuff that I'm like, you are fake as shit. But
we'll name them after.
But nah.
Yeah, nothing come to mind.
Nah, do you know what? Actually, somebody asked me this before, they're like, "Pretty love yourself, don't you?" And I'm like, yeah. I actually look up to myself.
Confidence though. That's where people get misconstrued, that it's arrogance and egotistical, and there's a bit of that, but it's true confidence in who you are. I
know that I've got an ego and I'm fine about it. Because I'm like,
you're never going to win if you don't.
Nah. And my mindset is so like locked in. I'm like, I do love myself. I've actually fell out with one of my long-term friends because she said to me once, she was like, just pure love yourself, don't you? And I'm like, yeah, I do.
When
she's like, all over your Instagram, she's like, you just pure tell you can pure love yourself. Like, why do you need to do that? And I'm like, because I know that I'm doing well, and I'm like, I like who I am as a person. And she just pure hated it. So I was like, see you later.
I'm going to jump to the toilet.
Right, sound. That was this isn't it anyway. Was she raging?
She was pure raging. She was like, I don't know, she just had this pure like, I think because I had a big ego and she had a big ego. So then it was a bit like, who was going to be the best out of us.
Aye.
And I'm like, I'm not here for competition.
Aye,
I'm
aye,
like, this is the only part that I don't want competition with. Like, bye.
One of me and my best pals, we were like that, and they were like good with it. Like,
Yeah, that's good, but
like he knows who he is, and I know who I'm at, and actually egg him on. But there was a point in our lives where we're like, I'm better than you, and he was, I'm better than you. We were not like that. We're just like, right, you can.
I think there is a point in your life where you're like that, and then you get to a point where you're like, you just want to support your friends to do well.
Aye.
Like, I've obviously heard off the back of other people, like, some people pure don't like that my Instagram's popped off, and they pure
That's how it goes, though.
they pure hate it, like jealousy. And I'm like, I'm not naming.
I can guess.
Who?
Oh, you're talking about Commando.
Yeah.
MD and Commando.
Actually, I've not heard any of them pure talking about it.
No.
One of the other gyms, they're all talking about it. But I'm like, it just pure shows you that they're not actually happy for you, are they? Like,
You talk about game line. No.
nah. I mean, there's a wee bit of stuff from there, but I'm like, I don't really know if they actually don't like me or not.
That's how it goes, though. If like you're going to be hated.
But I'm like,
bigger.
it's cool. And folk are saying, oh, she's buying followers and all this. I'm like, no. I'm like, go on and look at my reach and you'll see that I'm not.
Aye.
Like, you can't buy that.
Did you just keep going on?
No, cut that bit. It wasn't that bad anyway, but I just cut it out.
No.
So what were you saying? Oh, losing friendships and that then?
Yeah, we were just talking about how people, since like my Instagram took off and stuff, like people change their tune towards you because my
Really?
like because like you're doing what looks like better.
Than them.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel there's a lot of jealousy from the
From
space?
people outside that actually I don't really even know that I've heard are like
Or bad
saying-
mouthing you and that?
Yeah, and I'm like, I actually like love when people do well. Like, see somebody else is in, I'd be like, let's fucking go. Like when
Think that's
Harry opened
Scottish
his gym
culture.
and stuff, I'm like, yes, let's go. Like, this is gonna be massive. But some people pure hate it. They're like, oh, why has that happened to her?
Yeah. It's hard. I don't know. Do you think it is a Scottish thing that we like to, like, if somebody's doing better than what they are, there's always like this negative fucking
think it's
connotation with it?
Do you know what? I think it's a pure like people are people pleasers. So they say, for example, like one of you didn't like that man's kind of popped off. You'd be like, oh, look at her. Then your pal would be like, oh, I know, like that's pure shite. Like just to like keep their friend. Do you know what I mean? Instead of actually standing up and saying, do you know what? She's actually done well for herself and she's like done well with this. And like, so I think people just kind of jump on like other people's opinions rather than having their own one, which isn't always great.
Have you ever getting any hate then directly then? So you had a
Had one. Did you see it?
Oh, that was after Hyrox actually went up, or just before?
So that was really weird because he was pure sound with me when I worked in Commando. Pure sound, like he was really nice, and
I love how you just put him on blast. Like you just went.
He is nice. He is a nice guy, and then he just pure meshes me randomly out of the blue, like, oh, that pure shite mesh. I can't remember what it said, but I was like, that's out of
Said
order.
that you bought followers or something like
Said
that.
I bought followers, and he said, can't even remember what he said. Something about do you enjoy buying followers or something? I was like, I've actually not. And he's like, oh, very good and all this. I'm like, I've literally not. And he said something else that was pure nasty, and I was like, why are you being like that? And I just blocked him and put him in my story. And the amount of people, and I put his name on it as well. I normally pull people's names out, but I was
what
like,
I mean, you didn't pull any punches
didn't
with
pull
this.
any names.
I didn't see this. I need to figure out who this is
Put
after
him
this.
straight up, and I was like, that's out of order because coaches are meant to support other coaches, and I thought he was pure like a sound guy, and for some reason he just pure got dead jealous of the fact that I had gained a couple extra 1,000 followers. Like, what does that even mean? Like, doesn't change me as a person. It's just more people like viewing my stuff, and he was pure raging off the back of it. He messaged me like, that's out of order, take that down. I was like, no, what you said to me is out of order. Like, and I just blocked him. And then the amount of people that messaged me off the back of that saying that's out of order from him, I'm going to go and unfollow him. I don't respect that.
Aye, that's it. Aye.
He actually lost out from that quite a good bit. I'm like, that's just shite. Like, there's no point. There's no need for that. Like,
That is shite. The consequences of your actions as well.
I'm like, why have you done that? Don't fucking.
Fair play though.
You're feisty though.
Yeah.
That is feisty.
Yeah. I was like, don't do that to me.
It's the confidence in you though as well.
Yeah. I would see like 3 years ago, I'd never done that. I'd have been
Aye.
like, oh my God, like, let me prove to you that I've not done this.
Aye, send them proof and all that.
Oh, I was like, cool, if you think that cool, but I've not. So.
How do you think you've overcome like those type of insecurities then within you? What's been some of the things that stands out?
What do you mean, like not being confident to confident?
Yeah, or even like just the body dysmorphia you dealt with in the past, or competing in sports?
I think it was just believing in myself a bit more, because there was always parts of me that were like, oh, why, like, I don't feel like I look good enough for that. But then I realised that I got to a point where I was like, every single person looks different, they act different, so like, just be you. And it took me a while for it to click, but I'm like, every single person's different, and if you try and be the same as somebody else, you're never actually going to be them. And I had read something that was like, we could eat the same, like I could eat the same as you, train the exact same as you, walk the same amount of steps as you, and we'd still look different. And that sunk to me, and I was like, that's actually so true. And like, if you don't get on with somebody, you're always going to get on with somebody else. So like, if somebody's not going to support you, then fuck them.
Oh yeah, like it. What's your circle look like now?
Small.
Yeah, is it? Which
is weird, because people always think that because you've got a massive Instagram following, like you've got loads of people around you, but I actually don't. I've got 2. So I've got Harry, John, close-ish friend, Alex, Colleen's a friend from school, but I've got a really, really, really small circle of friends, and I actually do a lot of stuff myself, and I like that. And but it's good, because even though I've got that really small, tight group of friends, I can go into a lot of spaces and still speak to a lot of people, and people, like, I know them and I'll say hi to them and stuff, but I wouldn't like go out for dinner with them, which I like. And I've kind of always been like that. Like through school, I had like a group of friends, but it was like 5 friends or something, but I was still friends with everybody. I don't know if that makes sense, but there wasn't like I'd be happy to go and eat my lunch with like another group of people. I'd have my group of girls that I would always like kind of check in with and that, but I would be like, I'd go around a lot of people, and I'm still like that today. Like I have a really small like friend group, but I've got a lot of people like around me, if that makes sense.
That's
We're
good.
the same. We're the same.
Well, it's a sign of a good PT, because you need to be able to interact with
loads of people.
Different people, different walks of life.
You're like dead approachable. I'm like, thanks. But then I've got a pure resting bitch face. See people take pictures of me, I'm like, why am I so sad?
Raging.
Why am I raging? But yeah, defo.
Good. So what's next on the cards for you? Like where you've came in the last couple of years to where you want to go in the next couple of years? What's your dreams?
So I want to spend between 2 and 6 months abroad. But the only reason I want to do that is because I've got this kind of vision of, like, I've always been interested in living abroad. So I want to kind of do that for a bit, live abroad for a bit, work abroad for a bit, see how that is. I do want to, I've got like visions for a big fitness thing here, which I'm not going to disclose because it's
no. You want to say it? No.
No, you're on this big podcast.
No. But if that happens, that will be massive. So I hope it does. But at the now, I'm just kind of focusing on Hyrox actually at the moment. Just focusing on building. Because my like online client stuff have really grew over the past thing. I'm like, I need to lock this in. I need to keep making sure that this is
good service. Good
service, exactly. Because there was a point where, see, when it just started to happen,
there
was a point where my service went.
Aye.
And I had to take I was constant inquiries, constantly like, and I was like, I don't have time for this, and I had to just shut the inquiries off. I was like, I can't take any more. And got to the point where I was like so like not depressed, but I was pure like getting anxious about not being what I knew that I could be for people. Like for example, like being late with a check-in or something like that, and I was like, this isn't what I want to be, and this isn't what I want, so I had to stop it. And then being able to manage that, and then being like, right, I've got capacity now to bring on more people because I know how to manage them better. So I just want to build on that now and make sure that that's 100%, and then think about, right, I'm going to go abroad for 6 months here, see what that's like, and then come back and do what I want to do back here.
Good.
Class.
See with the online space then and kind of figuring that out, would you ever dip your toe into like mentorships and that, or what's your stance in them?
So that's usually I've done a few Hyrox seminars, which I guess is kind of mentorshipy. But in terms of coaching coaches, maybe I think that's the next level of confidence for me potentially, because at the moment, you're
still in the game, you're still learning.
I'm still in the game, I'm still learning, and you're always going to be learning whether you're a mentor or a coach. You're always going to be learning, but I think I've still got to kind of prove myself a bit more before going in and being like, I'm going to teach you how to do this.
What about actually joining one for your development?
So that as well, like I would be keen to do that, but the mentorships that I've joined in the past, it's just been pure repetitive stuff, like repeating the same information, regurgitating the same information. I'm like, I need more.
Aye.
And that goes back to the thing of actually believing in myself, because there's so many things that I thought of before that I wanted to do, and I was like, no, that would never work.
You go
and
into that.
Seeking
that and they're
validation,
like,
isn't it?
do that, and I'm like, I
That's
already knew I could have done that. And then now there's things that I'll do without even like seeking the validation, and I'm like, that worked. So I think it's just a kind of trial and error as well. I don't have a coach now. Like, I coach myself. People are like, why didn't you get a coach? Like, the top athletes have coaches, and I'm like, yeah, I want a coach. But I'm just like, so like, I like the way that I program. I want an accountability coach rather than a programming coach. Does
You
that
want a
make
life coach?
sense? I want a life coach, yeah.
That's what I
And,
say. I want a life coach.
There's not many people that do that.
No.
So I'm just a bit like, there probably is loads of people that do it.
And life coach, but if you do get a life coach, they like build you into how they want you to live.
I know, and I'm just like, I don't know, I'm just pure like, know what I want to be and know like what I want. That sounds so like.
What's happening in your life just now that you know you're not doing then?
Organised, probably. I just need something to organise my
I
life.
don't think anybody ever completes that, if I'm being honest.
Aye,
but
there's levels to the
sometimes
game though.
Sometimes it's hectic as fuck.
Yeah.
Like, so sometimes like I can be in a space that's pure messy, but I know whatever it is, right? And see if somebody says to me, that needs to be organised, I'm like, shut up. I'm like, I know in my head that I've set this time on Friday to do it, and I'm going to do it then, and you're telling me to do it now, and I'm like, no, I'm going to do it then. So like, see if somebody was to tell me to do something before I was ready in my head to do it, that'd piss me right off. That's why I'm like, I couldn't have a coach that I didn't like. I don't trust people that easy either. So I don't know. I have this pure barrier up against it, which I probably need to drop.
You would need to find the perfect one.
Yeah. It's the same with like, I know that I want to bring another coach into my business to help me with the capacity of people that's coming in. But to find the right person is, I'm like, oh my God.
Probably need to date sooner rather than later though as well.
I know. I'm like,
so you can grow.
I'm so like, right now I'm like, I need it. But I'm
Aye.
just like, how do I even go?
If you
how do I
employ
even
the
go
wrong
about that? Or
person,
it could go the
it's it's a lesson learned,
Yeah, true.
and you get somebody else and try again.
Yeah.
Aye, I think you need to accept that there's going to be a few rotten eggs in your journey. Just like if you look back at the clients that you've trained, you maybe go, oh man, I could have helped them a wee bit differently, but they played a part in your journey becoming who you are now.
So obviously the girl that I coached through Hyrox, and she's done really well and on her photo shoot and stuff. I'm looking at her and I'm like, you know how
It's
I train
potential.
people? You are coming into this space, you know it's good.
But aye,
Like,
fresh.
Yeah. So I've got my eye on her.
Good.
But and she's just newly qualified as well, so I'm like,
Perfect time.
perfect. But yeah, I know I need to bring more people in to expand myself, because I am at capacity right now. I'm like, I can't take it in, I can't do anything else right now, and I want to grow bigger, and I can like, I don't know if I could actually do that without help.
Yeah.
But it seemed like somebody's like, I'll just get somebody to manage your DMs and stuff like that, and I'm like, that would be good, but then it's not me.
It's not personal.
So that's what, then I'm
Lose
like,
your touch with it, don't you?
yeah, and I'm like quite a funny person, so I'm like, when I reply to people, I'm like, I always add humour into it.
Aye.
And I'm like, I wouldn't want somebody to be thinking they're messaging me and it's pure dry, and then they're like, oh, she's pure boring, when actually I'm in fact class.
They're watching your videos like that. Who
It's
is
a different
this?
person, yeah.
I guess that always comes back to the question is like, why scale to the next level then? Like a lot of people
know.
think that they need to have 4 or 5 coaches working for them.
Yeah.
When in reality, the fun part of the job is, like you said, the
Coaching.
DMs.
I think the only reason I want to scale to the next level is because the bigger picture for me is
what
massive.
you've got there.
Mm.
So like, if I want to get there, I can't do it on my own.
Aye.
So I'm like, just as literally what you said, like just about finding the right people.
Do you ever get lonely?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you overcome that?
Hill walks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
I know.
I love
Sent
taking
him in
myself.
one the other week there when he was
I
7.
went into myself.
I love taking myself out and just like I don't know, just being by myself and just
Aye.
being like, right, this is what I need to do this or that, or
Mhm.
I don't know, it just feels pure good. But I get lonely all the time.
It's a combination between nature and, especially in Scotland, like outdoors. Sometimes the weather, sometimes
Yeah.
the weather's always shit, and you're just like, I'm
Yeah.
enjoying this.
It's weird because it's like you feel lonely but you're not lonely.
Mm-hmm.
So it's so weird. Like people, actually, my client was talking about this the other day because he's self-employed, and he was like, "Oh, it's pure lonely. Like
Aye.
self-employed is pure lonely as fuck." I'm like, it can be, and it sometimes is, and it's good to hear somebody else say that, because sometimes I think
You're the only person there.
yeah, because sometimes when I'm sitting at night and I'm like, and maybe like my phone's not going off, and I'm like, what's like,
Does MD like me?
yeah, or sometimes when I like one friend that I've got is busy, and I'm like,
What did I do?
why? And I'm seeing on Instagram like all these people have got loads of groups of friends. Like, why do I not? So sometimes that can get lonely. But then when you look at the other picture, I'm like, well, I don't have that because that's not actually what I want. And half their friends probably aren't even their friends, or just like hanging about with them because for validation or something.
Drinking partners.
Yeah. But I don't even do that anymore. I don't really go out drinking or anything. Because it's not like doesn't line up with what I want to do. Yeah.
I think it's good to be comfortable in that though as well. But we say all the time, like, you need to recognise, like, if you're not happy with where you are, like in the loneliness sense, it's like, well, you putting yourself into groups and communities where you can meet people and interact, and then that opens up a kind of branch.
And we all need our times of loneliness as well.
Even though I feel like sometimes I feel lonely, I don't necessarily. It's not a bad thing. I don't feel like, because even though as I know that I could put myself into a group and I know that I could do that stuff, I just choose not to.
Aye.
So I don't know. I feel like as well because I'm very like, what's that word, like, want to do things yourself.
I booked a holiday for 6 weeks, just got myself.
I went to Turkey myself last year for 10 days, like class.
Aye. What did you do? So I'm getting a bit nervous because I meant to book it for 10 weeks and it's actually 6 weeks away, and I'm like, oh, fucking hell.
You'll be fine.
Aye,
I literally just went, sat on the beach, like tanned, like I took my laptop, I was in work, like I went out on quad bikes. There was actually a couple of guys in the hotel who worked there. And people are like, you are mad, why did you do that? Because there's this whole thing not being racist, but that was always the line, not being racist. In Turkey, like, they're kind of sometimes a bit weird with girls and stuff. But I was like, I'll be fine. So this guy was like, oh, come on the moped, we'll take you up to like this castle, like round there. And I was like, I'll be class, let's go. And I didn't think about really the thing of it till after. And my friend was like, why did you do that? And I'm like, it seemed sound. But then it's so weird because I'm like, I don't really trust people, but then I trusted him.
Hi, random.
It's weird, but see...
Then you can read someone.
And yeah, I can read people really well. See, in Glasgow, somebody said to me, I'd be like, depending who they are, I'd be like, no. I'm really good at reading people. I think I've got like
I've just gave you the diagnosis. You're just telling me all the signs.
I think I've got like a spiritual like sense. That sounds so weird, and I know that I'm not a pure spiritual bird or anything, right? But I can like pure sense things before they happen, and I've always been able to do it. And like, see, before like a major life event happens, it'll be happening in my dreams before
Anxiety's
it happens.
already there, kicking in.
Like, see, this is so stupid, but see, when I got the podium in Dublin, like, see, like a week before it, I dreamed of the third place at Hyrox in Dublin, and it happened. And that's such a minor thing, but even anything else that happens in my life, like my mum's sister passed away, and the day before she passed away, I was feeling a bit off, and then the day that it happened, I need to go check my mum. For some reason, my head was like, and then as I was driving up, they drove past and they put the window down and they're like, she's gone. And I was like, fuck off. But it happens like all the time, like different things, and I'm like, what is
your
this?
star signs?
No, not intent like that. But I just have this thing where I can pure tell things.
So,
and like, if somebody's off me, I can pure tell right away.
Aye. A lot of people talk about like energies and all that sort of stuff. Definitely something to it. It's your gut and all that.
I don't even know what it is, but like as soon as like somebody's at me, oh, I'm fine, I'm like,
no, you're not. What the fuck are you talking about?
You're actually not.
And my client will come in and go, I'm feeling alright. I go, no, you're not. What the fuck's wrong? Who's done what to you?
I know, literally, who's done what?
What have they done?
But it's weird, and I keep meaning to go to like a person will read me.
Is it a tarot cards or something?
What are they called? That? Like tarot cards, and somebody will read you. Like, what's that called?
A medium?
No. Psychics.
But one of my clients does like Reiki.
Right,
It's similar.
That's like Christina.
And even she was like to me, she's like, I can't get anything from you. She's like, you're so like powerful. She's like, all I can get is horses and like wolves and stuff because like you're just like fucking at the front of the pack.
Do you believe in these people? So I have a client who's this, right? And I got this
like,
place.
Yeah.
Come on. Tell me what I want to hear. Yes. Is she getting money from you?
No.
Soon they will. She will be. She'll be like, oh, if you want to come to this, I can tell you more about it.
I was like, I want to go to somebody else, see if they can read me. Because I'm like, I don't know if I'm easy to read or hard to read, but apparently I'm not that easy to read.
That's fair enough.
I always thought I was easy to read as well, and people were like, you're a pure closed book, and I think I'm pretty open.
I don't think I'm open.
I think I tell everybody everything.
I know.
What else is
sometimes
there to tell you?
Overshare. I'm like,
I overshare all the time.
Well, you've done brilliant on the podcast so far, so you're fine. Right, one question I like kind of asking guests is, like, thinking back to like that 10-year-old, 11-year-old you that had dreams and all that. What was those dreams first of all?
To not be unsuccessful.
Was it just about, and what was success then to you? Was that happy family, or was it more driven in terms financially?
Success to me was probably not being addicted to drugs, not being an alcoholic, not being in that lifestyle that I was around. Like even now, like I won't like never touch drugs. I obviously drink, but when I'm around people who are taking drugs, I'm like, I need to get out of here. Yeah. I'm actually okay, like, see if it's not somebody who's really, really close to me. See, for example, if it was like a partner that I was with and they were doing it, no, I'm straight up. I'm like, I'm not comfortable with that. And if you don't respect that, I'm like, see you later. Yeah. But if it's my friends who I'm obviously close with them, but they're not in direct, like a family link, that's so weird to me. Yeah. Like, I'm kind of okay with it, but I won't sit around it. But success to me was not being put in a position that I could potentially fall into that lifestyle. So see, even like 14, 15, my pals were going out, hanging about the streets, drinking. And to me, you weren't meant to drink till you were 18. So I was like, no, I'm not doing that. And I was just on the track, like in my athletics and stuff like that in sport, and I'd get slagged for it so many times, and I'll just come out and I'd be like, no, I don't want to come out, I want to do this. And I think that's what kind of started my strong independent mindset. And but my biggest drive was just not to fall back into that, and it still is. Like still to this day, I'm like, because I'm around it a lot more now as well. Like the older I got, and the more I realised like that was such a big thing, and like loads of people do it. And I was like, maybe that's just normal. And I was like, no. I'm still going to just.
I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, but that's always my biggest drive, not to fall back into that.
Yeah, I like that. Do you think the younger you would be proud of where you are now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Class.
It's good.
I always say that. I'm like, be the person that younger you want to look up to.
Yeah.
See, the sad thing is we're like dealing with a lot of clients. None of them can say that they're proud of the whatever's happened in their life, and that's quite sad, the realisation of that. But back to a point you said earlier, like it's so empowering to see what moving your body and getting strong, what that can actually do to your mindset.
Yeah, literally. So weird, because when I was at college, when I was going through school and stuff like that, I was low confidence. Like I couldn't even stand up in front of the class and do like a talk. Like I would literally get to the front and I would like go in. I know I'd go into the class early and say to the teacher, please don't make me do this. Like please, like I'd actually beg her, but please don't make me do this. And they'd always make me do it. And I'd be like, I'd actually cry sometimes, and I'd pure stand at the front and I just wouldn't talk, and I'd just look at everybody, and it was so embarrassing. They would slag me for it after, and I'd be like, I can't talk. And then when I got to HND in college, we had to do like a graded unit or whatever it's called, and you had to, for HND, you had to actually do a talk. And they were like, it's a 5-minute talk, and I thought of 5 minutes me talking. I was like, you are joking. But then I held a pen, right? It's just so weird. This is what started my like confidence. Held a pen and I just went up, and because it was something that I was interested in, like really passionate about, I spoke for 15 minutes, like just about it. And at the end she was like, no one has like ever like just done what you've actually done there. And after that I was like, oh, maybe I actually am like fine doing this stuff. And since going forward, like if I'm talking in front of people, I've had to have like things in my hand. Like for example, you probably noticed I've been holding this bottle the whole time. But that's what's kind of pivoted my confidence, like
self-belief you're starting to build in yourself, instead of being told, or you're just writing it off, I can't do that, I'm not somebody that can do that. I
think because a lot of time I was speaking about stuff that didn't actually interest me. Like I actually applied to, so when I first started being PT, I did apply for the police. I got through all the tests and stuff, but then got knocked back the interview because I was not confident. And then I wanted to go work on a cruise ship for a year, and I was about to go on there, and then I got a phone call and they were like, just like, you know, part of the role, you need to do like lectures in front of like 500 people at a time on nutrition. And I was like, I can't do that. And I just shut it off then because of that. So like coming into a space of like being almost kind of forced to be in front of people and like has really helped me with confidence. Yeah, like I remember our first class went into Impure Gym. I literally went in like that. I was like, oh my God, I just feel sick.
I think we all remember our first class.
Like, oh my God.
That is the worst experience.
And then see, after the first 10 minutes, I was like, this is brilliant. And then see, like off the back of the positive like feedback from it, and I was like, off.
That was good.
Let's go, yeah.
We adrenaline, we call it the dopamine dunt. That's his word.
Dopamine dunt. My first class, I remember, I was like 4 women, and I was like, how are you getting on? Said nothing.
I know.
Right, doing this, nothing. I'm like, what the fuck is that? I was like, I put the tunes on, and then at the end of like, that was so good. I'm like, what do you mean? I fucking said anything full time.
The maddest thing, like that spin class became one of the most popular ones because the tunes and the energy.
Aye.
But it's mad how you can do anything, and I think that's the thing we're always trying to preach in the podcast, that like self-belief it doesn't matter where you're starting out, building that self-belief in yourself will come with confidence, and I can't think of a better way where that can start is in the gym and working on yourself.
People always like, I've had a few actual coaches slag me for that. They were like, oh, you post about it's like confidence this and believe in yourself and like, oh, what are you going to post today? A wee confidence quote. I'm like, yeah,
Aye.
Yeah, quotes are great.
Look at my fucking following, look at yours.
Yeah, you're on your high horse now, aren't you?
But I was like, yeah, because that's what I
I've overcome.
That's what I like believe you should be. Like,
Aye.
like if you're confident, you're going to be better in so many more aspects of your life, like
Big
work,
time.
relationships, like if you've got children, like you're going to be better with them, like
Aye.
everything. I'm like, if you're not confident, you're going to be in the shit.
What you do with clients who aren't confident, how are you building that and instilling that in them?
So I just give them wee things to focus on. So see, for example, a lot of clients come to me and they've never ran before and I'm like, I know this is good for you. So not force it on them, but I'm like, maybe just try it. And they're like, oh, I don't know. And I'll build their confidence up, start with wee things like that. So I'm like, oh, just go run a wee, like half a kilometre today. They'll do it and they'll be like, I felt pure good.
Well, you're
Felt
going to
pure
say a
good.
half marathon there.
No.
Fucking hell, right?
And they'll be like, I felt pure good. Then I'm like, yeah. And then do you know what? Like these wee tiny things make them feel more confident about themselves. And then it comes up to like even stuff like when my girls always wears a jumper in the gym and I'm like, oh, here's like an SMK fitness top. And she's like, oh, never wear a top. I'm like, oh, get an oversized one. Like, it's really nice. Like, top, like, put it on. Next session, you come in with the top on. And I'm like, class. And she's like, I feel pure good. Like, I've never been like, don't overheat in the gym or anything anymore. And that's a wee confidence boost. Then the next one's like, she's coming in like a tighter top of her own. And I'm like, that's good.
It's just slowly but surely.
Yeah. And a lot of my clients are like, not my friends, but like a lot of them are like, they'll message me just randomly about random things that are happening in their life because they've felt confident about
They're
it.
proud of it and
Yeah.
they want to shout about it.
And I'm like, that's like really good because I can see that your confidence is building there. What else I do to build their confidence? Just celebrate the wee tiny wins that they have because I think that's so important. Like, so that goes so unmissed. Like,
Big time.
so missed. Sorry, sometimes. The people just focus on the big stuff. Like, they don't concentrate on the wee things that they like. Maybe like they've never got 10,000 steps in their life, and then one day they've hit 10,000. I'm like, that's so good. I'm like, well done. And they're like, oh, somebody's actually supporting that because most people, like, for example, one of my guys, his wife is always a bit like, oh, what are you doing that for? Like, why doesn't he do, like, what's 10,000 steps going to do? And I'm like, just, like, go out and do it. And 1 week he consistently got 8,000 steps and he'd never done that before. And his weight dropped and he was like, oh my God. He's like, it actually works. And that built his confidence because then he was pure out. He was like, I know I need to do this now. So he's like walking, he felt better about himself. Yeah. And he's like, oh, and the weight just pure started dropping off him, even with like 8,000 steps. Like, and then his wife was like, oh, that's quite good.
Could see it.
And then, so obviously it helped their relationship a bit as well. Like, so just wee tiny wins need to be celebrated as much as the big ones.
No, I love that. I think over the course of this podcast anyway, you're certainly a strong role model for women and empowering them in that way, in that sense.
Smash that.
Get me in the health magazine.
You'll be doing it. Well, look, it's been great having you on.
Thanks
you
so much
guys.